Potato Boss, bringing you the MogPod Podcast number 5, titled The Realm Before the Storm. This is the fully dedicated bi-weekly Final Fantasy TCG podcast. We're glad you're here, and without further ado, let me introduce the cast. I'm the Potato Boss, and next to me I got Kevin.
Hello.
Jared.
Hi.
And Chris.
Hello.
But we got one more special guest, George.
Hey. Welcome.
So George, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So I'm George. My favorite card is probably the Opus IV Amon, the legendary.
Amon, yeah.
Amon.
No.
Amon.
As is probably obvious, then my favorite element would be lightning, and I prefer doing like aggressive tempo decks. And my previous card gaming experience in general spans over like everyone's probably done Magic. The old L5R.
L5R.
And then like a slew of the LCGs in the 2-year hiatus between the CCG being cancelled and then its reboot subsequently about 3 months ago.
Oh, L5R's reboot, he means.
Yes, L5R's reboot. And my favourite Final Fantasy game would probably be Kingdom Hearts 2.
No.
And I know that may not actually be fully considered.
It's okay. We've had more controversial claims of favorite Final Fantasy.
Like I talk about X2, huh?
I'm a fan of that
Okay,
game, but
okay.
Other people find it controversial.
What's another controversial fact?
Oh, 13, you know.
No. 13 is fine. 13-2 is where it's not fine.
Hey, 32 is the best one.
Well,
Everyone, we should probably just agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I'd find it weirder if you liked 14 before it got redone.
That would be.
Yeah.
Oh hey, 14's ending game event was amazing.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay, sorry, it's launch.
Yes, its launch was.
It's launched.
was terrible.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's get to our first segment, the card of the show, and this week, as you might know, is going to be Realm. So Kevin, do you want to tell us what the card does?
So as we said before, Realm is a 2-cost EX burst, category 6/4. She is 5k, and she reads: when Realm enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add 1 monster among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. And she has a dull ability. It's dull. Choose 1 monster until the end of the turn. It also becomes a forward with 7,000 power.
Woo!
I mean,
Pretty
it's,
simple. Well,
She's got a lot
it's
of.
not simple though.
Yeah,
No,
it's not really
She has
Yeah.
a lot of words for a 2-cost forward.
She's a water forward too.
And,
and she's on curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're going there.
No.
I don't know. Just on curve, she's so small to me.
well, I mean, she's never going to like block or attack. So it curve
Hey,
kind of doesn't matter.
I attacked her there
Okay.
because if she does get a monster, she's super cheap, and so you can.
Yeah.
She's a really good early turn.
I guess.
Play.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
She's
Just
just a
when
cheap
if
forward.
they're still setting up, if they're
Yeah,
a slow
yeah.
deck.
It's also, there's the card selection element. So unlike the other cheap water forwards that draw you guys, Vikings and things like that, and even Zidane, right? She has the potential to give you options from among.
She usually doesn't.
The
No,
usually,
no.
but I'm saying there's the
Yeah.
potential.
There's the
there.
potential.
yes.
Yes,
Right.
I've been I've
And-
seen like 2 monsters.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean we've got some.
Yeah, I
info,
actually made a
right?
spreadsheet of
Yeah.
the probability of getting at least 1 monster of Realms.
So do you want to walk us through the data?
Well, so generally, if you want at least a 50% chance of drawing cards with Realm, you need at least 7 monsters in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's just a 50-50 every time you play Realm. I think it's a good one is like to have a good threshold to have is like 66% because you run like 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So at least 1 of those 3, at least 2 of those 3 will draw your card, and that happens at 10 monsters. So
But this is 10 monsters in the deck.
And the
But
50 card deck.
in the 50 card deck.
Yeah, so
obviously.
in the deck when you play Realm, how many monsters are still in the deck?
Yeah.
Not how many started the game.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
But usually,
I
you'll play more than that, wouldn't you?
Although,
Because in this deck, wouldn't some monsters more or less, overtake the?
I think 10 monsters is generally what the monster heavy decks are running.
Okay.
I
So-
can't remember if I've run 12 or not.
I think
Yeah.
12 is acceptable.
So
I
think
haven't
12 is fine.
I haven't built a particularly monster heavy deck yet. So I like ones that have things like Swamp Monk and blue dragon and things like that.
Green
No, green
dragon.
Sorry, green dragon. Sorry.
Blue Dragon's
Things-
the next set.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
My point is cards that would otherwise effectively take the space of forwards, because a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
a lot of
that's great,
monsters
that's
you
great.
look at them and you think, oh well, I'll take out summons for these.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many monsters might you be running if you were cutting into your forward slot.
I actually,
for them?
I think about it. I think I actually only run 9 monsters.
9
And
monsters.
my
Is
realms
this
have
in
been
water
fine.
ice?
Yeah, water
Oh,
ice.
okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
and she's been. I
It's-
really liked her.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
because you're not playing it on turn 1. You're playing it maybe like you can. I'm not saying you can't, but like
Yeah.
you're playing it throughout the game, and throughout the game there's gonna be.
No, because I'm searching for monsters and things throughout the game, so
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like
yeah.
yes and
Yeah.
no.
Like characters and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, fair
Yeah.
enough. fair
Yeah,
enough.
getting realms make your next like playing
Yeah.
realm makes your
Yeah,
next
and
realm
it's
worse.
heavily incentivized to play realm early.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
chances are, if you're playing Realm, you're playing it maybe with Kefka, maybe with Umaro,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
maybe
no,
with Mira.
A lot of people
Yeah.
think she's like the mini Kafka.
The way I use Realm is I use her for the dull effect,
Yeah.
and if she happens to draw a card, like hooray, that's
Yeah.
been.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
her
Mm.
dull effect has been really, really, really useful.
Yeah, because the dull effect essentially makes her kind of a backup. Because if you compare her
Yeah.
to a green dragon, you pay 1 for that. And instead of paying 1, you can
Yeah.
just dull realm. So she's just
Yeah.
saving you a CP.
She
most
also
of the time.
turns your Cleones and your what's the other one there, the Tomberries,
Yeah.
into more proactive permanence.
What do you think, George?
Flan.
Flan.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're
Really
making
good with
flan
flan.
into a. Have you done that, Chris?
No, I don't play
No?
flan in that deck.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then also, if a flan finds a flan, then your realm has A, less chance of hitting,
Oh,
and
yeah,
B,
that's
if
true.
you hit a flan, you don't want to pick the flan because your flan, unless you don't have any flans yet.
Oh yeah.
It's like-
Oh, no,
It's
fair enough,
still
fair enough.
very cheap 7Ks though. So
Yeah.
Oh,
potentially
I mean,
strong.
okay. So the way I think about it is that if you're building a water deck, right, and it has some monsters, and you've already have 3 of the 2-drop knights, and you want more 2-drops, just put this in. Like you can't go wrong. It's on curve.
Well,
right,
you need
and-
monsters to use it.
No, but like
Yeah.
if you have, I said if you have monsters,
Right,
even
right,
if you have
okay.
like 6 monsters, you don't need to have
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. That's
10 or
fine.
whatever. If you
Yeah.
had just like 5 or 6, then you can put this in the deck because the value that I see in this deck is not anything written on the card. It's the information that you get when you're searching for those 5 cards.
Yeah, but the information goes over to your opponent as well, and that's
Would it?
actually because
Yeah.
you have to
Ah,
reveal the
yeah.
5 cards, and
Yeah,
I've run
yeah.
into situations where I've used 2 Leviathans and my 3rd one went
Was
it
on
Yeah.
the bottom?
Yeah,
Ah,
so
okay, okay.
they just
They
didn't
knew.
play around.
That's
with
why I
it.
don't play. This is exactly the reason I don't play them. It's not actually. I don't play them right in my water.
Oh, right.
It's like all my summons are either monsters or Cloud of Dankness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just thinking about having her on, she's a forward on curve, right?
Mm.
The moment you have a monster for her to turn into a 7k thing, she's way above the curve, right? She's
Yeah.
she's contributing the same amount of force effectively as like a WRO member,
Yeah.
an unbuffed one. I mean, like Enecrode one, just
Yeah.
it's just got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
buff.
Just
from,
the 7K.
Yeah.
another WRO member.
I feel like you keep glossing over the fact that it EX triggers as well.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The
that's also
EX
good,
burst
right?
is a big deal.
Yeah.
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 That's-
It's
that's
just-
just a
that's-
card.
Yu-Gi-Oh card.
and not irrelevant is that she's a 6 forward.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
But she's not sticky though. That's the thing.
No,
Well-
but I've Strago EX'd because she's on the
Yeah,
board.
Yeah,
she's,
yeah.
Oh,
she's
okay,
cheap,
fair enough.
right?
Yeah.
Fair
So
enough,
you
yeah.
can quite effectively play her and then Strago, or
Yeah.
her and then Lock if you've got another
Mm.
one. Or are there any others that care about 6s? I can't remember. Like because I'm thinking about it from the sense that again
Mm.
I played my WRO members the turn that I play my clouds to get that effect to resolve. So yeah, no, she's the. Is she the cheapest 6 forward? I think she is. Right?
If
Yeah.
you
Oh,
get
there's also
the,
Kefka.
Oh yeah, Kefka.
And there's how big is Mach 6?
Mach 6 is
It's
3
3.
costs,
Three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gao, if you subtract the cost of the monster,
It's
is
3.
technically
Yeah.
1.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Um,
like Lena, yeah,
yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough.
But if you do draw the card with
You
Realm,
take
she's-
Strago and subtract the cost of Leviathan.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, he's zero. He's
He's
a free card.
Uh,
Why don't you hate for that? That's why Strago is pretty highly ranked.
Yeah,
But,
it's
but
actually
no one's
good.
playing it because people are
I'm
afraid to
playing
play
it.
monsters.
Yeah, I
Well-
think I would. I suppose.
yeah, it's a bit of an awkward position because you really want to play Strago without monsters, I think, because I think the monsters eat into too much. Monsters and the 6 forwards eat into too much deck space.
Yeah.
So you can't play them in mono water where it'd be useful.
Oh, in mono water.
Yeah, in
Oh,
mono
right.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So does it have any counters, or is it particularly good against any
Like-
particular playstyle, or?
Like, what do you say? Like, what counters this card?
Yeah,
You know,
it
like,
doesn't really
it's
do
removal.
much.
Almost
It's-
all basic removal
Yeah.
does this
Yeah.
thing. So
yeah, but like, is that a counter if it drew a card?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
it's not really.
It just does its thing. And
Yeah.
because it's
She's-
low impact enough without the dull effect.
she's
right?
not a payoff card,
No,
right?
no.
She's an engine card as
Yeah.
opposed to a payoff
I
card.
guess you could see the counter as like if you are relying on her to be your 6 forward
Mm.
or a 6 character for lock,
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
she's weak, so she
Yeah.
can die.
I actually read up on Realm a little bit, and it's pretty cool. The reason why she turns into monsters is because she's a Pictomancer. That's her job, and so she
Yeah.
draws pictures and makes them come to life.
That's
Ah.
cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's why you find 5 cards. She's like looking at her art book. She's like, I'm gonna draw this
Ah.
one, and then
So she's really good at Pictionary.
I assume so. I
Like,
assume
the
so.
thing is literally in front of me. What is it?
And she still loses because of friends.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I only run 2 of her though.
I
But
think.
it's EX burst. Why don't
No,
you?
I think you
It's dex
don't want to
based.
run too many realms, especially because like all the monster search makes the other monster search worse.
Like, if you're also playing Kefka,
Mirror.
if you're also playing Mira, then your subsequent realms, like late game realms, aren't really what you want to be hitting. Right?
To be honest, when I was last looking at my list,
Mhm.
I was thinking of cutting the mirrors.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like they've like I was in games where I like searched for them and then ultimately after multiple turns discarded them. I was holding on thinking they'd be valuable. And because things just end up getting searched out of the deck too quick.
Right, right, okay.
And then I was thinking, well, if I cut my mirrors, I could actually run 3 realms. Because Realm's been impressive every time I've played her. Even if she hasn't found a thing, she's then been
A
relevant
threat.
to like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, obviously you don't play it if you're expecting her to easily die.
Mm.
And also you don't think you got a good chance of
Mm.
getting a monster. But the fact she does usually have a good chance of getting a monster means you can play her into something you expect her to die to and not feel too bad about it. And then that thing's gone and won't kill your bigger thing.
Mm.
Also, you're Morty, you got Minwoo.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. Although it's kind of small for Minwoo.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're worried about say for example they use VV backup to kill this.
Oh right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay,
Then-
yeah.
It means you don't have to worry about the VV backup on your bigger thing. But
Mhm.
then I said, you're in waters, you got
Ah,
Minwoo, so
right.
you already don't have to worry about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
yeah.
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 Mm.
So I guess that's enough discussion about it. I mean, I think I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of monster decks and the decks that are built on FF decks and the tournaments that are running. People are just afraid of Emperor. Maybe
Maybe,
I'm not sure.
like,
It's
also
but
like-
I think they should really play this card. It has a lot of
Yeah,
I think
potential.
the Water Earth monster lists are running Realm, obviously, because they have a lot of monsters. The Emperor, they run the
Right.
Roban
Fair
with
enough.
Adamantoids.
This
Right.
might be one of my favorite 2-drop forwards. Now I think about this. I really like Sid Reigns, but like I also really like Realm because I run Astrologian too, and so
Oh, yeah.
she's like,
You can,
yes,
you can make her into a worse version of 5-cost Kifka.
I could attack with her and then like
Uh-huh.
Astro her and
Okay.
then like animate monster attack with the the
yeah.
monster.
If they have no blockers, it's just a ton of damage. I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of being like Onion Knight, right, Chris?
Yeah. Like you're not forced to Astro. It just
Yeah.
means you've got the option
option.
available.
No, I mean,
Okay.
you can also if
Or you could
if
just
they've
animate
got,
2 monsters.
well, if they've got no available blockers, you like animate the monster, then Astro and just attack with her.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
if they're attacking you and you're all tapped out, then like sometimes people don't see that you could like
Yeah.
Astro her and animate
Yeah,
her.
yeah. Or you can Astro her, block with her, and then animate something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I guess.
Like she's really good with Astro beyond
Yeah.
what it just looks like.
Yeah.
Well, she has a free dull effect, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The main thing I just wanted to say is there a precedent in this game? I mean, like you've looked at most of the chapters cards, more or less, right?
I don't
Oh
know.
yes.
We've
What do you mean?
glanced at them.
You glanced at it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so is there a precedent for looking at the like drawing the bottom card of your deck? Because in like Netrunner, there's cards that make you access the bottom card of the corporation's deck,
Mm-hmm.
and so I wonder if there's a precedent for drawing the bottom card, because even if she misses, since you get to reorder and stack the
Yeah.
bottom of your deck into an order, you could.
I'm sure there's probably like a character in a Final Fantasy wherein it would make a lot of sense to give that ability to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, because we've got quite a few cards now that look at some and put some on the
Yeah.
bottom, right?
Mm.
Am I
Yeah.
imagining it?
There's
Ace.
huge.
Huge.
Well, that's the top
Ace.
one. Realm.
Realm. Are there any others?
Geomancer.
Oh yeah, Geomancer.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't go to the bottom. It goes
Yeah,
to
no, no.
the-
Yeah.
The wall.
Onion Knight.
I need that. And then you shuffle.
Yeah.
So like that could be interesting.
It's,
I mean,
it's I see this card. I don't really want to play this card other than looking at the 5 cards because I think that's so much information. I know the opponent gets it as well, but it's a lot of information.
To me, it's the second part of it that I really like.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's the whole package. So.
But yeah, like Kevin
Fair
said,
enough.
that's like a weaker but also costless Kefka.
Okay, so on to our next segment. We're gonna talk about the Element Encyclopedia, and this time it's all about lightning.
What is ice?
What is ice?
Yes.
What
What
kind
kind
of
of
all these
things-
lightning cards?
Ice. Yes, yes.
Did Chris write this? Did Chris write this script? It reads, Element Encyclopedia, lightning. What is ice? What kinds of things does ice do?
I think, I mean, like, Amon is a very nice
Ice
card.
card,
Ice
yeah.
card. Yeah.
Lightning's pretty good ice card.
Yeah.
Extra soldiers.
Extra Soldier's a good lightning card. I agree.
I really didn't expect
Kate
this.
Sith. Kate Sith's an excellent ice card.
I really didn't expect this. I was gonna make the lightning joke board, but this is just so much better. Okay. Apparently, ice breaks things, according to the script as well.
Oh, no,
Okay.
honest, 3 times in a row.
Maybe should we start this segment again?
Element Encyclopedia.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Lightning.
Yeah, it's fine. So,
Bit of a
Element
goof.
Encyclopedia. Chris, you done the Chocobo Academy. Just tell us a little about what lightning does.
Okay, so I defined lightning as in my little grid of an aggressive but reactive element.
Mhm.
It just took a lot of thinking to figure out how
Yeah.
that made sense.
Walk
but
us
it does
through that.
eventually.
Explain further.
So it's a game of like a cycle, like where you wait for them to do something, and then you nullify that threat somehow, and in the process you generate a threat, and now you've got something to start attacking them. But the threat you generate is usually pretty small, like Adia or Alcid, Only Knight, something like that. And then they play another threat, and you answer it again with another threat. I mean, it's not always a threat. You can answer it with Seymour or something. But usually, that's how Lightning then attacks with its reactive cards.
That's,
And it can get through because it's got more reactive
yeah.
cards to deal
Yeah,
with.
It's got a high density of removal.
it's the tempo element,
Yeah.
which you would that involve fancy of creating tempo and making them lose forwards.
You
at the same
react
time.
and advance your ward state at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just, I play this, it answers that. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Earth does.
Which is
That's the traditional mono Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, George, you play Lightning a lot. Just tell us some other things other than just reacting and breaking things. What does Lightning do?
I mean, like, you try to find windows and just exploit the hell out of them. It's probably how I would define it. Like, you definitely do not interact much at all with their dulled forwards. It's probably another consideration.
Well, you have a lot of tools to dull them.
Let's aim on it right here.
But that makes sense because what's the point of dulling a dull forward?
Yeah.
Oh no! As in like you.
No, I know what you mean,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean Lightning only interacts with active forwards,
Yes,
and dulling
yes.
a forward only makes sense on an active forward.
Yeah.
I only just realised that. Like, it makes sense now. Like, why Lightning dulls things?
No, there was a person that was on Facebook and it was like, oh, Lightning is bad because it contradicts itself, and I was like,
It has more of a range.
It doesn't have to kill the thing. It just interacts with active forwards
Yeah.
yes,
primarily. But then it also has
damaged.
active forwards, damaged forwards, or
Forwards.
just because you've got
Low cost of
Odin,
forwards.
Odin
yeah.
and Raiden.
Oh, come on,
Ramu.
There are lots of
Lightning traditionally
Ramu's
likes small costed forwards,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
4, maybe 5 or less. Like Adia is the only
Thing that removes fire.
until you get to Odin, which
Yeah.
that's really expensive. It's not efficient, but
Mm.
Lightning can deal with anything.
You can still look at
There's
X
Raiden
and
too, actually.
Golders though.
Oh,
Both of them at
Mhm.
they're 6, but they cost technically less once you
Yeah.
resolve the rest of them. Oh good. Stable ice card so far.
The outer combo is staple in Iceland.
well, yes, staple. I think this is.
Alcid is pretty much the only lightning card.
One thing that really annoys me whenever I sit down to make a lightning, and I did this recently. I put together an ice lightning Spheets deck, and I wanted to try and see if I could make something that I didn't feel compelled to just put Alcid into to make it better, and it's not achievable.
Yeah.
I think this is it's a problem with Lightning at the moment.
I think so.
It's a little it renders the element a little bit bland when you're looking at deck construction ideas, because it's not to say that the other cards aren't interesting or good. It's just that Alcid and its general component pieces are just so good that they have to occupy space in your deck.
Well, if you're going Lightning X, the Lightning is basically Alcid combo, unlike another card.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my problem.
that's
Like,
it.
I wanted to make an Ice Lightning Sphex deck, and I wanted to fill the Lightning space not with Alcid and his friends, but with things like Azul and some monsters and some, like, a couple other things. And the more I thought about it, the more I looked at it, and when we played those games we played, the more it just felt like this deck won't work unless...
To be fair
we have...
to Alcid combo, it's not all Alcid's fault. Because the pieces he
Yeah,
puts
oh,
in,
the
okay.
pieces are really good as well.
Onion and Rydea
And Black
end up
Waltz.
synergizing.
And Black Waltz.
Yeah, but just let's just like the classics, right? Like,
Playing the new Black
Onion
Waltz.
Knight.
A lot,
Yeah.
actually,
Okay.
quite a
Like,
lot.
Onion Knight and Rydea end up, you're like, when you're building a deck that happens to have lightning, you probably, I'm doing damage to something. Oh, Onion Knight's pretty good for that. Or like, in my decks, I'm usually trying to find 13 synergies. I'm like, Rydea's a 13. And then these things are already there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if I'm playing Ice Out, Rain's pretty good. And like, Gravis can
Yeah.
find Rain. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
just happens to go
Yeah,
with
like,
other good
it's
cards.
just
And then if you're playing Water, Black Waltz is there to search for the
Yeah,
design.
yeah, you
yeah.
And
can
it's
search
like,
it.
Yeah, so yeah, even Black Waltz.
It's just annoying that like so much space in every, especially in Ice X decks. That's right, Ice. Sorry, Lightning X decks.
Is Dice Stag a knight?
Dice
Yes,
Attack is a
yes.
Dice
third.
Stag-
Yeah, like
yeah, I love Dice Stack. But
Yeah,
anyways,
so I've made a few decks. I've made a Earth Lightning deck and a Water Lightning deck, and it's
Yeah.
just Alcid and Ramza, and those are the only Lightning forwards I ever consider.
What do you
Yeah.
think Lightning decks would look like if Alcid didn't exist right now?
no,
They might play Gilgamesh, maybe.
I
I
see,
don't
like-
know. This just
actually, I've yet to make it, but I'm in the process of making. I'm using the Opus 1 cane. I think that one is much more relevant now than it ever was.
This is the
Reducing
thing.
power?
Like,
Yes,
There-
reduced by 5,000. It kills on curve 2 cost.
There are playing those.
Wow!
this is precisely my point, right?
Previously,
Like,
I didn't think that.
this is precisely my
Yeah.
point. Like, because Alcid is just so good, there's no choice really when
Yeah.
it comes to your go-to forward-based removal options. Like, he pushes things like Kane out. He pushes things like Gilgamesh out.
Yeah.
I remember when I started playing, I remember reading up and thinking, oh, Gilgamesh is the bee's knees. This
Yeah,
is so
Gilgamesh is
cool.
good.
But
Notice the beast
I
knees.
can't.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he's like, you don't have those same like really Gilgamesh-centric lists
No, you don't.
anymore, just because Alcid pushes them out, because he deals with more problems more effectively and more reliably.
The thing about Alcid particularly is like, I don't like building like lightning decks and having to put them in. But what I don't like even more is building decks in any deck and be like, oh, okay, I have to have an answer for Alcid, or I need to beat out the tempo or do something for Alcid.
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating thing with me, because I can deal with the Emperor, I can deal with Leviathan, and like deal with it in the ways that I can ignore it, and then eventually I'll still be okay. But I can't ignore Alcid. So if I don't build a deck and it doesn't have something against Alcid, that deck is just going to lose, because Alcid is so popular in any Lightning or Lightning X deck. I just
7 cost of forwards plus a 7 cost Odin in one.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's awkward. I suppose
So
we
much.
probably should
Yeah.
move away from
Alcid
Alcid and
He's a big
explore
part
the
of
rest
it.
of the element.
But my favorite part about Lightning is actually the reducing power.
Yes,
Yeah.
like you were saying with the cane.
Yeah, that's like probably like my favorite Lightning card.
Even though Water's been stealing the thunder.
Little bits of that on what Cagnazo and
Beatrice
and
Tomberries.
Kugelane,
I'm-
Malboro.
Typically 2 elements have a particular thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like fire and earth have brave,
yeah.
and lightning and water have reduced power.
And Lightning and Ice have no.
Yeah,
Lightning.
exactly.
Yeah.
Haste?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fire,
yeah,
Lightning,
yeah.
and
Fire,
Haste.
lightning, haste. Yep, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
a fun exercise. What are the other?
Well,
what do Wind
First
and Lightning
strike.
have?
First
Like,
strike
six
is
damage.
fire and lightning.
Fire and lightning.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
first strike is in fire, lightning,
And
earth, and water.
Oh,
And
Earth
wind,
doesn't
and
have
wind.
first strike.
And yeah,
Yes, it
it's
does.
more-
What else? Like
No,
it has to have like not just like one card. It has to have
There are 2 cards.
which one?
Are you
Wow.
gonna say Pelennor and also the fact that Pelennor?
Oh, sorry,
exists
3
to-
cards.
Whoa.
So
Brandelius?
Brandelius is sometimes, and both of the first 2 Vincents.
Oh,
sometimes.
Ah, whatever. That's
So does that mean Ice has more first strike? 'Cause
Ice has more
yeah. Anyways.
Anyway,
The other thing is that they deal with damage forwards. It doesn't have to be active or dealt, but it has to be active if they're dealing damage. But if they're breaking, they're just breaking them.
Yeah.
That's their theme.
like
Yeah.
what's it called? Angeal Penance is a
Yeah.
or the Opus 1 Black Mage.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love
the
Angel
new
Penance.
Orlando.
I think Angiosa is best
Yes.
when he shoots himself in the foot.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens very often.
I've caused that to happen. Somebody attacked me with an Elcid, and I had. This is my Dardaluma deck. I didn't have any forwards in play, but I had a Pelennor.
So
Yeah.
when you say Elcid, you mean?
Also-
You mean Angio.
Angio.
Sorry, Angeal. Yeah, no. See, this is a. Damn you, Elcid! Let me talk about other cards. Yeah.
The one thing I think is also they've got the gambling mechanic of sorts where you've got stronger
Oh,
Sword,
yeah,
Brand,
And
Sith.
Kate
Kate
Sith.
Sith,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's those
I
are-
made a Kate Sith deck.
one of my favorite like archetypes within like the lightning sphere. The 2 things I enjoy most about within lightning, or I tend to enjoy most within lightning, are 2 of its tribal decks. I really like making knights decks, and I always like putting together dragoons
Dragoon.
lists.
Yeah.
And we keep getting more and more dragoon stuff. Like we
really do.
got Freya in Opus 3, and now we've got King of Burmecia.
I think Freya makes it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Freya definitely
Yeah,
pulls it.
yeah,
Like the set before, we got the cane that gave them all +2k as well.
Especially since you got like Steiner and Eiko to
Mhm.
search around.
Have you made this list?
I've been messing around with it. I haven't put it together yet.
Because I'd be interested to play against
Mm. I need to actually go ahead and put it together, but it feels like it's definitely there now.
Mhm.
The problem is there are, because you also want to include a goodly number of the standard unit dragoons, and I'm not sure which ones are
The Opus
like,
1 ones are not bad.
which one? Oh,
Opus
the
one.
three cost ones.
Mm.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna play dragons with your dragoons?
Oh, I could.
The honorary dragoon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Lightning started being part of its identity is monster removal.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Rammer and
Does-
No, that's because lightning has to have
Dragon.
an. So that's the other thing. On Reddit, someone's like, lightning's the best element, blah, 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 blah.
Wait,
'Cause
so
it has
someone said it's the worst element. Someone said
Yes,
it's the best.
exactly. I know. Yeah, it's very,
Oh,
very, very
Reddit.
polar. Oh, Reddit. But he's saying the best element because it's like it has answers to everything. It has like AOE. It has like big monsters, small monsters. It has
Monster.
big forwards, small forwards.
Oh.
It has everything, And then people are like, yeah, but it's not the best because you can't put all those answers in one deck.
It's
Well,
access
no,
to.
you can because that's what the mono lightning deck is.
No.
It's
no.
like 50 answers in one deck.
No.
It is. It is.
That mono lightning actually struggles against those rush decks.
Yeah,
Well,
they
that's
do.
because it has difficulty dealing with more than one thing at a time. Like, Lightning has only recently gotten
that's
access to AOE removal,
Mm.
and its
like
AOE removal
nuke everything.
its AOE removal is symmetrical and very expensive.
No, it only needs a Cyclops for those things, and they don't like Cyclops.
Cyclops.
Oh, no,
yeah.
like-
It's X-Death is the big
Yeah,
AOE.
X-Death is the big one, and then to a lesser extent,
And then Kate Sith,
Exodus.
apparently.
Mm.
Kate Sith.
But
Oh yeah,
Case
K-Sith. Deal 7
7,000.
to all active
Yeah.
forwards.
yeah, but that's the problem. It's still
Yeah.
active forwards, and if you're playing against one of these rush decks, they're not active
Mm.
Yeah.
unless they're like WRO members and Yang and Ursula.
Does any other color have backups that eat their own eat other backups other than themselves, like not just?
So you mean like Lulu and
and
Cannoneer?
Cannoneer
Yeah.
and stuff like that? Because that's specifically.
That's
Earth can kind of do that.
But they
With the
themselves.
Leo.
don't.
the
No, the
well, it's-
Delita or Hecatonk here.
but
Oh, yeah.
It's
yeah.
other
Yeah, I think that is
cards.
mostly
Or
on
Mystic.
everything.
Mystic is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
but they're all non-backup cards that
Yeah.
are doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And-
fair
Fair
enough,
backups
fair
eat
enough.
backups.
Yeah,
Earth
yeah.
also gets. I mean, it's got Biggs and now to a lesser extent the new Barrett. So it's got a couple of payoff cards for doing it,
Mm.
but I don't think that those themes have really been
It's not
thoroughly
quite there yet.
fleshed
Yeah.
out yet.
Yeah.
Not
I
quite.
think
And
that's
Lightning-
future design space.
Mm.
Hasn't really been.
That's pretty fleshed out on Lightning though, Cannoneer,
It
Lulu.
is,
And
it
you
is.
have Fusoya, which specifically
That's
incentivizes
true.
breaking it.
Yeah. George, you played a lot of Golbez.
Golbez George.
Yeah, we
His
used to.
nickname.
Yeah, we used to always call him Golbez George because he introduced the Golbez meta into
Yeah.
into our local meta,
Well, no,
and we were like, oh no, Golbez does a lot.
Apparently you had someone, like Chris was playing Golbez for a while.
Oh, this
before.
okay. I wasn't.
It was not really.
But this was like when we just started playing. It was like
Yeah.
Opus. I was like, oh, this card's really cool. And it's
Yeah.
like, haha, I'll get like my Rydeer.
Yeah, I know, right?
Fully knew that it wouldn't activate, but Lightning didn't have anything at the time.
Oh,
Like,
it
it
didn't.
was
For the
like
longest,
Rydeer,
for all of Opus 1, Ragdeal was the only
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
2-drop in
Yeah.
Lightning.
And now Opus 5, the new Lightning is a good choice for the Golbez.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm looking forward to that Lightning.
Oh
You
yeah,
mean a disgusting choice.
it's a disgusting choice. Yeah, I've talked about all my Opus 5 spoiler spotlight, so go check it out on the channel. But yeah, Golbez, go tell us a little bit about it.
What? You wanna, like, talk about
Run through some cool things you can do with
Yeah,
Golbez.
that's
What's
the
your
cool
most
thing.
memorable moment that's
Okay,
happened?
okay. Do you remember what you did against me when I played Yuna in the first turn against your Golbez?
Oh.
Yeah,
oh,
come on,
oh.
tell us that story. Turn 1 you started.
Turn 1 I started.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Where I played a Golbez on turn 1.
Yeah, you did.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember the interaction when I killed it. I remember I swung with it, and then you didn't. What? I remember I specifically.
Oh, that was another game.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I remember specifically I broke it. I think either with Kafka or Deleter, and then while I was on the stack and you had Yuna in play, I then Hekatonkered when you had no.
No. This was back in Opus 3 with no Hekatonk here. Oh,
No, we're talking Opus 1 Hekatonkered to your backup Yuna. So
yeah,
then
okay.
he didn't get RFG to then bring in the 5, even though you thought you didn't have to deal with it. Because this is when you did your Warrior of Light Water Earth tag.
Yeah. So
Nice.
essentially what happened was he played Golbez turn 1, right? This is maybe another game.
Yeah.
So what happened was he played Golbez turn 1, and then I was like, I need to answer this. I was like, I got Yuna H, so I pitched 3, the same as he pitched 3 to play Yuna H.
Mhm.
I was like, he got it back to his hand.
Yeah, that's a good play.
And then I was like, yeah, your turn,
Yeah.
right? And he was like, pitch 3, play Golbez again. Yeah, right? And then I was like, are you sure? You know what Yuna does, right? And it's yeah, go ahead. And I was like, okay. And then I played Warrior of Light, right? And then he attacked into the Warrior of Light, and I was like, aha, I'll try to kill it, And I think I golemed the Warrior of Light to be able to kill the Golbez. And then he was like, oh yeah, sure. And then and I was like, okay. So it gets removed from play. No, I'm gonna respond to that. He ditched 2 cards to play Hekatonkered my Yuna, and then he got 4 forwards, and then I just lost from there.
I've just had a thought.
Yeah.
I've just finished playing Persona 5.
Yeah.
And Golbez reminds me of, if anyone's played Persona 5, when you go and rip a mask off of a shadow,
Yeah.
and then it spawns all the monsters
Yeah.
that you actually
Oh,
fight.
yes.
That's what he's like.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So
He's the boss encounter.
yeah.
He the way I'm using Golbez at the moment in like a casual setting, my casual deck, is with the cadets.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a 2-color deck mostly with its Lightning Wind,
Mm.
but then I also chuck in Sync and Lasso and an Onion Knight. No, not Onion Knight. I think it's just Sync and Lasso now. And he's just there to buy the cadets deck time for me. Like he sits there,
set up.
and then it's like he mostly blocks because I could technically break him like Odin or something, but the cadets Odin.
Mm.
But yeah, he's mostly just like, okay, now I've got time to set up my backups, build up my cadets, and then go. And if they do break him, I get like Sice with tons of backup.
Yeah.
Right, I can attack now.
You can take, yeah.
And like Seven's there too, so she can probably get
Yeah.
through, or just shrink whatever could block there.
He's the Dumbledore to your
Yeah, yeah, because Sice is like rubbish on her own, but she's really good once she's got a
if there
critical
are
mass.
3 other cadets in play, that's minus 4k, and
Yeah.
that's
He also just eats a lot of removal.
Yeah.
He
Like,
does.
and just like prompts them to use specialized removal that could easily screw you up. in a
Like,
fight.
yeah, see.
It's all, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say is like a Golbez is one of those forwards like Daduma, like Delita, like those cards where, or like Zach, where you can play it against Lightning and just not care if they play Alcid.
feel pretty
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah. It's like that's what I hate. Like the other thing is like.
Like, oh, you also got 2 cards. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, right? No.
Yeah.
No, like, I like Golbez in that matter,
Yeah.
but I don't like Alcid in the matter that, that's probably a reason why I would consider Golbez.
But here's the other thing,
You know?
right? So say there's Golbez there,
Yeah.
and then they kill Golbez, and then you've got out your cadets because you're playing my cadets deck.
Okay,
And
yeah,
then-
fair enough, yeah.
Sure.
and
why
then they're
not?
like, aha, I'll Sid, and you're like, Snakebite. But that's another point about getting out the cadets, which is really cool. It's all these S's means like if you've got them in your hand and you didn't want to play them anyway because you know when your Gomez dies it's going to find some, you've got the S's in your hand.
I think the cadets just need more copies.
We are getting
We are.
Type 0
We are. Yeah, I
support
know.
Opus
Yeah,
5, so that's
Oh,
gonna
are
be
we?
exciting.
It's been
fine.
confirmed.
Oh,
and
that's
I
cool.
think I'm not entirely sure, but in the Japanese release, they usually have a backup and a forward counterpart.
Yeah,
So-
no, that makes sense.
So there'll be a like a 7 backup, and there'll
And
be like a
forward
deuce forward,
Yeah.
and those kind of things, and that'll be pretty cool.
Oh,
That would mean that most of the cadets
ooh.
in Opus 5
That's-
are going to be backups.
Yeah, but that's a
Maybe.
balancing act, Chris.
Yeah, like a
That's a
7
balancing
backup. Ooh.
It's a balancing act though, because you have to.
Although I'm assuming we are going to get more forwards.
No, we're definitely gonna get more forwards, but I think some of them are gonna be backups as opposed to. Like,
It's just, 7's so funny. It's a bit off topic because it's not a lightning card, but 7's so funny in that she's like, outside of a cadet deck, she like doesn't do anything, but then in a cadet deck, I'm like always snake biting.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny because that's the part on her that doesn't reference cadets.
It does, yeah. It's really interesting because back on Opus 3, people were like, "This is the best card ever,"
Well, we
you know,
were at least.
like, and then it's like we used it, and it's like, nah, this
Yeah.
card
I
is
think
not
it's
easy
in
to.
a,
Making everyone Zidane is
Mm.
pretty rough sometimes.
Yeah.
But the issue was I think mono water was a thing
Mm.
when it was a deck, and so they had quite a lot of lower
Mm.
costumes, so it wasn't as relevant.
Yeah, that was when all the 3 costs came into play.
And also you can only snake bite twice. Pretty much.
No, it's
unless you're a Sura.
You're a
Yeah.
Sura.
I have a
Yeah.
Sura, I have Sage, I have Ram.
Yeah, that's why you're snake
Yeah,
biting.
yeah,
Chris.
and Orisha
Yeah.
to find the snake bite,
Yeah.
and Gomez to get one of
And Sage.
I said
Yeah,
Sage, yeah.
Ah, okay.
And Lulu as well, so I can like replay Ram.
For Soya?
I don't have Fusoya, but like
Yeah.
replay Sage.
Anyways.
Instead of Gomez, I'd probably say like I preferred the Mannequin X deck when that came
Oh,
out.
yeah,
down the
yeah.
line.
True, I remember you playing that a lot.
Yeah, because it was color fixing as well as, or it also you got all the value out of it without them really having a chance to
How many
stop deny it.
how many different like off-color mannequins did you play in that day?
I mean, I'll be honest. Typically, it was just only running the ice ones.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking because there's also the Dawn Warriors as well, right?
Ah, yeah.
They're basically the same as putting in
Yeah.
mannequins.
I
It's
tried
not
putting
even
both of them together.
I
That
remember
didn't
that
really
deck.
work.
I remember that.
It's
Oh, actually-
disgusting. If it goes off, it's really
If it
good.
goes
Yeah,
off,
yeah. It's the likelihood of you drawing both is actually pretty high. Like
Okay.
you'll be surprised. And I also had Devout and stuff, and the Elsa combo because
With
The
Obviously.
benefit with the mannequins was that it fit within what the mono lightning deck was normally doing.
Mm.
Anyway,
With the mannequins, Fleeting Flash is really scary,
Yeah.
and
So
I'm a bit sad that the best lightning isn't real.
No, that's not the best lightning
I think
though.
it is.
oh no, Fleeting Flash is amazing.
No, it's a
Yeah.
very good card, but I don't think it's the
What do you
best
think?
lightning.
What do you think is the best?
What's better
lightning?
than Fleeting Flash out of
Like,
all the
would you say
lightnings?
the new lightning?
Wait,
The new lightning's really good actually. I might reserve judgment for the new lightning. I still need to play with her a bit more.
I quite like the Opus 4 Legendary, but I have a special place in my heart for the Opus 1.
You mean heroic, right? Oh wait, Opus
No.
4. No, that's the one that just came out. I can think
Yeah.
of Opus 5.
No.
No.
Yeah.
I might. It might just be because of the fact that most of the times I've played lightning decks or built lightning decks, they've been like night decks. The
Promo?
promo one has
Yeah.
been the one that I use most.
We're gonna get that as participation prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the regionals.
I still think the mannequin's better.
Ah.
Mannequin's
Yeah.
very scary when
It is
you
scary.
have more than one.
This
mannequin.
reminds me. Earlier, I was thinking, is it just me or does anyone else get a really satisfying feeling when you counter the thing someone played just to counter your thing?
Oh, yeah.
So that you're talking about the acid.
Yeah. That's why I put Titans in my deck. That's
Yeah.
like half the reason why I put Titan is like you can't get your other
That's
hand.
that's why when I'm playing ice, I love versing wind. It's my favorite feeling ever. And they're just like, haha, myself. We're like, haha, I've got like 3 different ways I could counter that.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I think Lightning is the actual card is very good. It's really interesting that the Opus 1 special is a little limiting. Like it's not the best special.
So
Yeah.
That's pretty
The,
good.
the Opus 1
yeah,
Legendary.
the issue with her special, the legendary one,
Yes.
right, is that she doesn't do damage at the same time she's doing that effect. She
Mm.
takes up an attack without damage.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue.
If the text was changed to like S, if she gets a point of damage through break a forward.
Yeah,
that would be amazing. You know?
Yeah, because then your opponent really has to think about that.
And
your opponent has no thinking on this.
Yeah.
Like they have an answer,
Yeah.
in which case you get destroyed.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they don't and they just watch it happen. Like
Yeah, but it's pretty slow. That's why people don't really.
yeah, it costs like
It's S and 1.
yeah.
But if they made it S and 2 lightning and made
Because she costs 6 and then it's SM1.
Oh, but she get a card.
gets you a card though.
It's your card.
Right?
She- yeah,
She finds you an
Yeah,
opening.
but it's 6 at once.
Oh,
How are
am I-
you paying for 6?
Good.
Like you've got to have like 5 backups for like, oh, you're discarding 3 and then you have an odd backup left to like S there. Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
so,
it's a
like-
little, it's a little awkward.
She's so cool though.
Yeah, she's.
I think Gestalt Drive.
Oh,
is
yeah,
special.
that's what
It's extremely like. I mean, the fact that you need essentially 2 cards, 2 different name cards for the S is
Yeah.
kind of limiting, but it's still it feels really nifty when you get it off.
I've never
I've
done
never
it myself.
seen it happen.
Hey, never. Oh,
I'm pretty sure I have used Gestalt Drive against you.
Against me?
I need to-
Maybe
I
it wasn't against me. I don't think
Okay,
I've ever
maybe
seen
it
you
was.
play a lightning.
It was in my EX Burst deck.
Yeah, well, I never played against your one.
Okay.
You played against my one, but I never played against yours.
Okay.
the most satisfying thing when someone plays that particular version of Lightning, though, is when they stack the EX Odin on top of their deck and then
Right.
you push in with Opus 1 X deck.
Yeah.
And you just go, no.
Why did they do that?
Because it's a free thing to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Or even like,
or like
you just mill
Riku.
them.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
mill them.
yeah.
That's it.
That's very
That's a good
annoying.
point. Red Mage is still. I mean, no, you don't want to talk about Red Mage being a like lightning defining card, do you?
True.
Yeah,
Red
no,
Mage is a
that's-
lightning
Hey,
defender.
Like,
I
think it
just-
is,
Definitely one of them.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
one that
Yeah.
has-
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Red Mage just gives people haste. Just
Yeah.
catches
There are
people off
so
guard.
many cards, especially cards outside of lightning, that become like 8 times as powerful.
Well, even within
Eight.
lightning, you've got things that could become 8 times as powerful, like Amon.
Mhm.
Yeah, dull 2 things. go.
Yeah.
Well, but
Yeah.
I'm more specifically thinking of like playing against you, Chris. Whenever you go like
That's
Genesis Haste,
Mecha
Ah.
Chocobo.
or what's that? Is the new one? The new Genesis is Lock, right? Or Mecha Chocobo.
I haven't done that though because I don't have a nice lightning deck yet.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah,
It's
no, he
common.
doesn't.
It's-
Who did I? Maybe it was on Octagon.
I
Or
don't
something.
know. Like I've given Genesis haste because I did that before
Mm.
Opus 4. But oh my god, that's so good as well.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. Like, my point, right? Like there are all these really good on damage.
This is why I
effects.
want to make a nice lightning.
And
because
especially
of Red
nice.
Mage. Yeah.
No, but isn't that your Ice Fire deck with Goblin and stuff?
The Ice Fire deck
The
that will
Ice
never
Fi-
be.
Yeah, the Ice Fire deck I'll never get to make because I keep having to trade away Sabine.
I think the best joke would be like, oh man, I really want to do Fire Lightning for Red Mage.
Well, then you can play the Red Mage tribal card.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
one.
You can
Speaking of
deal 8,000 to
tribal
something.
cards,
You need a
the-
Black Mage tribal.
yes, the Black Mage tribal
Oh,
is
yeah.
also another thing in Lightning. The
That's
cool.
Superior
Lightning
Mage,
Fire.
I would
With the
say.
Black Mage.
Okay. Like, what are the popular dual color decks that Lightning is using? I think
Yeah.
for
That's
any
all.
element you can make any dual color
Yeah.
deck. I just want to talk about Lightning in particular because Kevin thinks that it's not good.
That's why you brought it up.
Because of Minwu, you said.
I have to
Retract?
rethink that.
Okay, yeah,
But I still don't think it is that good.
Oh, I think Onion Knight, the new Onion Knight makes it.
Like I've only played one matchup with my new deck that I was just drafted, but I'm not taking that as a because I made the Lightning Wind Onion Knight with the new Lightning, the character Lightning, and like Hope because that's a 13 thing, and like there's some 13 monsters and stuff. And I just happened to first Murad with it, with his Mono Earth, and he had like Magic Pot and Deleter, and Hope just happens to find Alexander,
Which is good against both
yeah,
of them.
yeah. And which I
Well,
just picked
there
the
is a
Alexander
lot
one.
of ways to build Lightning Wind.
But-
There was a recent Japanese list, which the wind side was like almost entirely chocobos, and that was really
Ah,
interesting.
I was thinking that too
Yeah.
because there's a 13 chocobo.
Yeah.
So you can like play a fat chocobo, get that, and then play lightning. And
And-
Oh, no.
The hopes
my,
become a lot less small when they're riding chocobos as well.
My Fire Wind has the 7 chocobos, so Aerith can
Okay,
Yeah.
be played for 2.
So there is definitely like a wide range of things you can do with Lightning Wind, but
Yeah. I mean, I think after when Opus 4 released, this question has become much less relevant because I think you can make any combination and you can make it at least a tier 2.
Before
Yeah,
it was
At least a tier 2.
basically ice lightning, and that was that the only thing lightning was good with?
No, lightning water. The Fisoi deck was pretty popular as well.
Oh, was that really good?
That was
Yeah.
It
I
actually
think,
destroys my 7th Fish.
I think if we're looking at like the Opus 3 meta, which it's been gone for a little while now, the Lightning X archetypes tended to be Ice Lightning, and there was a little bit of.
There's
Lightning
variation
water.
within what the list were trying to do in Ice Lightning. I mean, there's like
Yeah,
more
there
aggressive
was.
versions,
That's
and
true,
then-
but like, I mean, you saw more.
there's mannequins.
You saw more Ice Lightning decks than Lightning anything else.
That's right.
Was my point.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, you saw lots of Mono Lightning or Ice Lightning,
Okay.
and with smatterings of other things.
I think Lightning Water was more than adding in Earth, and that was more the Knight's list than just strictly Lightning Water at the time.
No, that's a nice list. I was
Yeah.
talking about the Fisoi.
Oh no, I mean
Yeah.
if you're talking about like just water with lightning, I think you would go like a step further. And then
Yeah. So against lightning, I'm gonna go around the table and say what is annoying or frustrating that you find. With
I've
lightning?
already covered this.
I guess we can just go. But for me, it's deck building to counter Elsid. That really cheeses me.
I don't care about Elsid.
Yeah, me neither.
I just play Minwoo, laugh in their face. What I hate is
You water players have it so good with your Minwoos and your cheap forwards.
Do you play Minwoo only because of Elsid? So if Elsid didn't exist, wouldn't that backup space be used much better else?
No.
Because people like me and Greg exist.
Fire decks. And even then, it's just good in combat, even without any ping damage in the game.
It's like first strike.
I'm fairly convinced Elsid is damn it, Minwoo is still the best backup in the game.
I think it's the best card in the game. I was actually having this conversation with Greg the other day, and we think it's
like Emperor.
Come
on.
I love the Emperor, but like
Minwoo is almost oppressive level.
I'd say,
2.
I think it is oppressive. Like I think it actually breaks the game.
It's hard to interact with,
good card.
and it just turns off whole elements worth of removal.
I think it'd be way cooler.
I actually don't think so. I don't think it's that broken. It's a very, very good card. I'm not disputing that it's the best card in the game. I haven't thought about it that far, but I don't think it breaks the game in any way.
I think it's a perfectly fine effect to have in the game. I
Like
just
Lance
don't
is
think.
fine.
I don't think it should be on a backup. I think on forwards, because there's so many more ways to interact with forwards. Rosa's another time. I think it's a fair effect. Rosa, the other 3 costs.
Rosa, yeah.
I think it used to be more balanced because water had small forwards. But now it's like when they made Minwoo, it'd be like, okay, we've got to limit our design. We can't make big water forwards, and then they didn't. No, it's like really broken.
What's the average size for a water forward these
Like
days?
7K.
7.
Yeah, right,
+1 with one.
When you're looking at water forwards that
They're gonna
did
one drop
things,
7K.
well, I mean, if you look in the Opus 1 environment, you look at water forwards that cost 3 CP that also did something. They tended to be 6K or lower, like Leela, right?
Yeah.
I think it'd be
That's my pirate. No, that's my pirate deck.
My point is right. Like Minwoo was fair earlier on because water cards were smaller, and even the water cards that had lots of power, like Titus, relied on other variables.
And Waka,
Right?
which was a backup
Yeah,
for power boosting.
cards
ability.
that needed there to be other forwards in play already, which made sense within the water has lots of small guys theme.
As I was talking about it with Greg, we were trying to think of like what would be a good solution to Minwoo B with like other than just outright banning it, which we and Greg think is like probably the best solution. But it's really nice that there's no bans in this game.
Yeah.
It's definitely not worth a ban.
I think if we could somehow change it, like go back in time.
Errata it.
Yeah,
It
if,
could be
if it would be
errata.
like if it was like forwards, the forwards like instead of taking the full damage if it's less than their power, it has like an armor effect, like they take 2,000 less or something like
Like
that.
a Warrior of Light.
Yeah, but
Like
only if it's less than their like power
Okay.
that they're taking.
I think
that'd be
if you had to pay for each forward, that
What?
might be.
Yeah, like you pay one to negate the damage
negate
or
the
something.
damage.
Because if you're coming up with an answer to Minwoo, you probably have to put it in light or dark, and then it takes up the whole light or dark slot for that deck.
The reason why I think Minwoo is not that broken is because even against so what are the two elements that get affected by most? It's fire and lightning. and maybe wind.
Fire, lightning,
Yeah.
wind.
Yeah.
So that's
pretty much
half of the elements.
Yeah. Wait. Hold up.
Wait,
Hold up.
Earth's
Wait.
fighting mechanic should overpower whatever.
Earths? I didn't say Earth.
No, I'm just thinking like in terms of damaging effects.
So-
Yeah,
That
Earth-
actually
Yeah.
has a lot
No,
of
no.
things as well, surprisingly.
Yeah, it does. No, but
I-
what I'm trying to say is particular is that fire, like even mono fire, is not all about pain. Like
Not anymore.
No.
But
No,
that's
no.
because Minwu exists.
no,
Yeah.
even Opus 3. No, even Opus 3.
You
It-
ignore a lot of
because-
the defenders with like Red Mage too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Mage, or even you make your guys bigger,
Yes.
and then
though-
lightning you can just break them
though,
outright. You don't need to have that.
In fire, you don't have a lot of ways to make your guys bigger, and when you do, they're only slightly bigger. And water at the moment has more better ways of making all their guys bigger. I mean, looking at Garnet, which is almost impossible for fire to get rid of.
Having said all this, I don't ever get annoyed when I get Minwu.
No, yeah,
I just think it's like with
it just makes
the
it
Alcid,
hard.
you guys seem to be quite annoyed by Alcid, but I'm not like annoyed at Minwu. I remember, like I think in Opus 3, I was saying, what would they have to come out with to make Alcid not like you
Not
put
like
him in there,
Yeah.
like
Lightning
not
should
the
get a
best.
free cost version of Alcid.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Alright.
Just
Yeah.
straight power creep.
Yeah.
Well, they've been very good with power creep, I think,
I
so
think they
far. There hasn't been a lot of blatant power creep.
I'd really like to see like just because I'm more familiar with ice, like a new mono ice versus old school mono ice with like
Yeah.
Squall Lagunas and stuff like that, and just see how that
Because
compares.
people are still
Because
playing
I-
Squall Laguna.
Yeah, to me it
in
doesn't
some
seem
lists.
like the new stuff is just better.
No, it's just different, right?
Yeah.
That's what I
No,
generally
better.
Yeah.
like the power balancing in the game.
It's actually
It's just
really
there are a
interesting.
few spikes here and there. Like, and again, my problem with Alcid isn't a gameplay issue, because he's not like backbreakingly like good.
Oppressive.
He's not
Yeah.
oppressive to play against. It's just in the number of
You're worried about deck diversity.
yeah. He harms lightning deck diversity.
Mm.
Like there aren't a lot of different lightning X decks like we mentioned before
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Alcid exists.
It's more. It's not that he's a staple because a staple's like Red Mage. It's that he's a staple that takes up like 10 slots.
Yes.
You know?
If he was a card that
You can still make a deck without Red Mage and still be happy, I would say.
I don't think Minwu would be a staple though. It's more of a meta choice. Compare it to like Alcid would just be most lightning decks.
Greg was
whereas-
saying there's like
Yeah.
one-offs in Minwu's.
Yeah, like Minwu's like you're not
Mm.
running. It's if you get it in the matchup you need to have it. You want to have it in. It's typically by chance, right? You're not running 3 copies of Minwu.
A lot of people do
oh
that.
no,
Really?
yeah,
because Mono Lightning's so strong.
Oh, okay.
And-
and Mono Fire is strong when
Oh,
there
yeah.
isn't Minwu.
No, Mono Fire is still strong without Minwu.
I know it's better though when there isn't Minwu.
Yeah, okay, it's better, but it's still very strong. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just to me that Minwu argument of being the best card, I don't think it ever should be banned.
No.
I don't think it should be banned
Yeah,
either.
I'm
I'm just
really-
saying it does counter 3 elements worth of cards.
No, it counters like
It's like,
half of 2 and like a quarter of the other.
So
But-
the
but,
half
yeah,
that people
but,
play.
like,
No. There's a lot of.
there are 5.
Wait,
main
wait.
relevants.
You've played Mono Lightning a lot in Opus 3, right?
Yeah.
When you're facing against a Minwu, did you ever cry? Like
No.
you were fine. You played Alcid into a Minwu because you got 2 forwards on the field.
For just a
And
3
he's a
cost backup that you
The-
can easily devote backup space to.
There's a reason why it's 3 cost. It can
Yeah,
be
no.
killed
That's
by
his
any
one
backup
weakness. His one weakness is the 2 elements that get to kill backups in addition to playing Sephiroth. They can always kill him.
I think the better thing would be to print another variant on Minwu. Because then you'd have the same decision between the 2-cost unit and the 5-cost unit as to what you want to answer, and then you could have.
So you think make a new
yes,
Minwu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
like
it's
a
your
forward
force to
Minwu.
choose.
A forward
Okay.
Minwu.
And a Minwu that actually synergizes with the deck.
There was a when Greg and I were discussing these things, we were thinking, what if Minwu's name was changed to something else relevant? And we're like, oh, what if it's called Yuna? And they're like, I know, and you could search for it.
Who would search for it?
Pain would search for it.
No,
I think it should be called
it-
Ico.
I think it should be called Steiner.
Oh no!
Within the current environment, that would be the I think the biggest
think-
nerf to
I
it,
think,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Zidane. I'd be happy with that.
I think Steiner would. Be
Anyway,
really
this
good.
we've had
Enough
a 20-minute conversation
Yeah.
about a water card in our lightning encyclopedia.
Just really quickly, hold on.
So what are noises about lightning? Minwoo.
This happens every time. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But like Chris, what do you hate most about lightning? Because you talked to it, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
What did you say?
What I don't like is Gilgamesh, the starter Gilgamesh.
The one that can't be bounced.
Oh, it's almost like you're a water player.
No, it's also that, and it also punishes you for dealing damage with it.
It is,
It's the only other way to, if you out pressure lightning, they just drop the Gilgamesh and start killing everything. So it kind of is like a catch-22 in terms of playstyle against it. That's
It's
why
also
I
if you
don't
start
like
dropping ping-based removal into it, they can just start pumping cards.
Yeah.
that can
Yeah,
damage
yeah.
As well.
It's hard to burn that
Yeah.
guy to death.
it. Yeah.
Can I go next?
You go next, go.
Okay. The most annoying card I find in all of Lightning is a 7-drop Odin. Not when it's played.
No, when it EXs.
But when it EXs, you're like, that would have been such a bad draw.
Not only has this screwed me,
Yeah.
but you would have had that in your hand.
But it's so good.
When it EXs.
Only when it EXs.
It feels very good to EX burst.
Why?
Yeah, so George, what do you hate most out of Lightning?
As
Or
the lightning player.
Yeah, or when you play against it.
When I play against
Yeah.
Lightning, what do I hate? Being the person who has to play their cards first.
Yeah.
Just
Being-
how reactive
Yeah,
the element is.
being the guy who plays the first forward is always the position you don't want to be in. Like
That-
typically,
Just play Hildebrand.
but like
It gets Alcid.
It gets
in the mirror, it's very much like you can play back
That's
up
another annoying thing about Alcid.
Because like if you make them play their Alcid without getting to follow through, it's like you curve out your backups long enough that then they're forced to just play it forward. It's just like sweet. Now I'm gonna be like
Like on the front foot.
yeah, you're
the
constantly on
aggressive
front.
reactive
Yeah.
style.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
The most satisfying thing to do is to play a haste creature because then you're ahead of them on both sides.
And you've got haste and lightning. You got a lot of haste and lightning.
I remember
Even
playing.
lightning.
I remember playing a game. I was using my water lightning knights deck against a mono lightning player, and for like 7 or 8 turns, neither of us played a forward.
Hang on, there is something really cool about that though, like in the matchup, because it doesn't have to be haste mode. Red mage is an ally to our Sid, and so it's this really interesting. It's like a silent dance that's going on between the players. Like
This
I
battle
always,
of wits.
yeah, go things like music and dancing and stuff. Like Ice's music and lightning dances.
And we need to make something for every element.
Yeah, well, we don't.
Hold up, no.
It's just like how long can they not be active?
Yeah.
Like.
Honestly,
Because if you are the person to play something and red mage it, that's
Honestly,
really good.
like that's another thing, right? I'm an art player, like you guys know, and I love Brave, but Alcid just makes you be like, oh, Brave sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm really happy with that because then less Brave gets played.
No,
It's
it's like Brave, especially back in Opus 1, like Legendary Cloud. Because he was brave, he was so good, and because you get to attack and block.
Well,
and
that was
No,
actually
the same
also
reason
because
Gilgamesh was amazing.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
you can attack and then use their ability.
yeah, exactly. That's the
You didn't
like,
miss out on any tempo.
Yeah.
Unlike the lightning
And-
in Opus 1.
Yeah, and now you play forwards that dull themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then like you can't block. It's like I just like if Alcid didn't exist, I would make an all brave deck and just not.
You should still do it. Like, it's fine. Like,
I more or less
like-
have done, and I suppose we'll cover that when we get to the
Yeah,
next segment.
And the other thing that I guess no one talked about is being Grand Crossed.
I've always won whenever I've been
Yeah.
really fast, yeah.
I just liked when it was like initially seen as being possibly too expensive to be a thing that you could reliably resolve.
Well, every time it's happened, it has been too expensive for it to pay off.
I think you should do it.
Like
with
in
freebet.
games with where I've been across the table from an X death, I think I've also won every game
No, you-
where they've Garand crossed me because
You have to no. I wouldn't.
I got
Like
the
you have to
flip
play
experience
against
of
it.
that. Like you typically, it depends on how many backups you're on to how many they're on when you do it. If you're on 3 and they're on 5, you're probably going to come up on top because they've probably been pitching most of their backups from their hands, so they
Yeah.
probably can't recurve out. And then if you're a mono lightning, you're probably running evokers, so you can restabilize relatively smoothly.
that said, my general strategy for playing against mono lightning, because it is so like you'll spend your turn usually answering one of my cards. I tend to play fewer backups and just run out more dudes.
Yeah.
So which means like either I've put you into a more pressured state where now you have to Grand Cross when it's not going to be so favorable for you, or I mean I just kill you.
Yeah, when he's on the field, you have to be like, okay, if he Grand Cross, what is going to be the like resource difference, pretty much, because they have the extra XDeath on the field, so they've got essentially 7 CP.
Well, I've just
more
thought
on you.
like it's only happened against me when we were playing ice, and then if your opponent just started with a free forward at the start of the game, my dual bats are good at the start of the game now.
Chris, looking at the bright side.
That was the worst thing about doing the XF fleeting flash combo, and then they just go dual about. It was like, oh,
It's so good. It's like, I've got my backup.
Yeah, X actually made it really interesting to play against.
I like that
deck.
I like that deck, actually.
Because you can't really answer it. You have to answer it with a playstyle. Which
Yeah.
means you
this
just
is like
have to
the
play
Alcid
differently.
Red Mage thing, right?
It's interesting because like the archetypical control deck in this game thus far has been mono lightning control, and for the longest time they didn't really have reliable like AOE removal. Like in Magic the Gathering, you're a like if you think about like the traditional blue-white style control decks, the ones that have efficient removal and like a Wrath of God effect to wipe the board clean. Mono Lightning really didn't have that until Exodus. Like they had Exodus, but Exodus wasn't really a.
Exodus came out with Exodus.
Did it?
At the same stage,
Yeah. Well, they like. Then in that case, they didn't have anything before then,
I
right?
also really don't like Exodus. I mean, we're in a lightning section, so I figure we can talk
That's
about
my
that
point.
now
Is
as
it's
well.
sort of like it never really fulfills the like this is a Wrath.
It
promise.
was probably the best card in that only summons deck.
But yeah, like the point I'm trying to make
pay
is
for
anyway,
kill anything.
the point I'm trying to make is they don't have a cheap way of doing what they want to be doing, like which is because when you're on the back foot as the mono lightning player, it's because there are multiple answers that you haven't been able to efficiently answer, multiple threats that you haven't been able to efficiently answer, and they don't have a comeback card other than XDeath, who is so expensive and also hurts you.
So, just I know lightning is already very good, but what would it need to make it more fun or take it to the next level? Personally, I'd like to see more first strike support, because they have like backups and monsters that give first strike, but I want more forwards themselves in their head that have first
I
strike.
think this game very purposely has the very few first strike forwards spread out in different elements so they can't pass. So I mean, eventually, if they keep adding like one in those elements each opus, eventually you'll have enough to like.
No, but yeah, I really like first
They
strike.
like to also like give you effects that give you first strike as well,
rather than
because
permanent.
rather than the permanent.
it means that you have to devote resources and time to giving your things.
That's
Like
true.
that significant extra buff. Like that's one of the cool things about the Dragoons deck is you can have those big like clumps
First
of
strike.
first strike in parties.
So what would you like? What else do you guys think would you like to see?
Well, a better AOE other than XDeath.
Oh,
better AOE other than
Right.
XDeath.
I'm not saying this is what lightning needs. I'm just saying this would take it.
And-
I think they have to be very careful with
I
giving
think,
lightning
and
AoE.
I know I
I
sound
agree.
like a broken record on this. Cards that
Alcid.
compete for Alcid.
Yeah.
Oh, how about an Alcid backup that does something?
It would have to be amazing.
In Opus 2, right? They released a robot in Earth, and everyone was like, "This is a staple Earth card. No one is gonna replace this Earth card." And now Opus 4, you got the forward robot.
You
and the
actually have to
robot-
make a choice.
Yeah, and then I'm like, the forward robot is so good, but this one EXs. But this is like, you know.
But in these decks though, wouldn't you just go because I don't start with Alcid as the reason I end up putting in Alcid. I started with Mighty or Onion Knight usually, and then it's like well now I've got Alcid, and it's like that's always gonna outcompete like so it's something else. If those cards are already gonna be good for you.
I'm kind of different with you. I think I want, in terms of what you'd want to add to the element, I'd want to see a furthering of the all forwards archetype.
Oh,
With more
yeah.
support, so more effects like Hildebrand, Kate Sif. I mean, hopefully the Legend Kate Sif does something along those lines, because then that would further push it, and then you'd have
Wait,
Strongly
is there?
Yeah,
like,
but- Because
you
of
got
Reeves.
7. You got 7 support coming in Opus 5, so presumably, hopefully,
Because we will always have 7 support.
No, the
so
reason.
it's slated, right?
No,
So-
the reason why we say that is because we know that Reeves is a 5-star card. right? And Reeds is gonna search for a legendary card.
Sorry, he's like a 7+2.
Yeah. He has a 7+2, right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
He cannot be chosen by ability.
But like,
Oh my
amazing,
God.
right?
But all forwards.
Yeah.
Is
Is it
where
so
I would like to
sort
see them
I
support.
don't
Just
know.
Yeah, it's
because
both. It's both.
I
It's
think
a
so.
completely different archetype to what you get in any other
Yeah.
color combination,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah,
it would.
that's very
Yeah,
good.
and Opus 1 was the Gilgamesh strongest sword deck.
I mean, it
Yeah.
still exists now.
with
Yeah.
with Gobez.
Mm.
But people think it's a Gobez deck, but no, it's Gilgamesh
It was-
with
It was the strongest
Gobez.
sword deck, and
Yeah.
that was the problem because everyone was focusing on answering the goal, and that's the
Yeah.
reason why they needed that meta article particularly helped people ascertain that.
Next, we're just gonna talk about some Japanese. That when Opus, when the Final Fantasy Trading Card Game released in Japan, there were some monsters, and we're just gonna talk about some of them
From the Chapters series.
from the chapter
Yeah.
series.
The,
Yeah,
the previous
Um,
iteration of the game.
yeah. And the first one is Black Knight,
That's a
and this
monster.
is Lightning's Cleon.
Okay.
So it's a 1-cost lightning monster with a multi-card symbol, and when a forward enters the field.
That costs 1.
Wait. When a forward enters the field, put Hell Knight in the break zone. If Hell Knight is put in the break zone, choose this effect, break the forward.
No.
So you
What?
or the opponent
That's
can't
a
put
uncommon.
forwards.
No. Who would print this?
Because you just play your Gomez and you're like, ah.
You know, you
Oh
have-
yeah, wait, that's really good. Yeah, you can play this and play your Gobez and then you get your
Yeah, but
Gobez
it's
stuff.
A
I have a
forward.
feeling
Your
this
opponent's-
card will
It's
not
up
be printed.
forward.
It's
Up
A
forward.
forward. Like literally, your opponent could go, "Oh man, I want to play my Sephiroth," and you go, "Yeah, sure."
Oh, imagine timing
Oh my
timing
God.
this in, or can you do that?
No, you can't.
Oh no, you can't.
It costs 1.
It costs
wait.
what?
My God.
Couldn't you Tama this in? It's a character.
Oh yeah, but
No,
it
but
doesn't.
it already
Oh,
entered the
it
field.
wouldn't do the thing.
I
Yeah,
mean-
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is so cool.
This is just a lot. You just
Oh yeah, you have three when you have 3 forwards in play, just
You just put it in and
Yeah.
be like, I'm gonna attack for damage.
and then you also have a Cleon in play.
oh god.
and then Emperor.
Oh
God.
This-
I don't know. It was just a pretty cool card that I thought
yeah.
people would know
Cool.
about.
Cool is not.
So
how would
I
put
have
it.
a feeling. Well, I don't know. Maybe
I wouldn't
it
put it
could-
past them.
I don't imagine it would cost 1.
No,
in the-
it probably won't cost
in
one.
the Opus series.
The main thing is
Were it to be reprinted.
you can't choose when it triggers though. So
Yeah.
I mean, like if you did have it did use it as your form of removal, like.
I think.
Well, it's
I think
it's
wait,
not really removal, right? It's
Jason.
You're trading 1 CP for probably a 2 to 4.
No, 1 CP in the
Hmm.
card, so that's 3 CP essentially.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
no,
but
but
they
sorry,
kill
they're
whatever they
playing
can't.
like
yeah.
a 2 to 4 cost card
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the hand.
I think what I would make a change to this, maybe make it 2 CP, and maybe say when a forward, when a player plays a forward from their hand.
It's also not quite a lock because you can play monsters.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
no,
that's
no,
true.
well,
Mm.
yeah, you can play monsters. But when you play forward from your hand, so that means that you can still Phoenix and you can still get stuff from your deck onto the field. And
It's
and
very narrow.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it's-
I
but-
think that lends itself more to build-arounds to exploit this than
Yeah.
than like I think the fairest way to have this effect would be to keep it as written. It's just I'd increase the costs
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
to 2 or maybe even 3.
So
This would be so good in
what
a
you're
monster
doing
deck.
is like
Yeah.
ways
Yeah.
to have this in play and still a bunch.
Because
of
like there are
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
a bunch of ways
No.
where this
Yeah.
card just
just imagine.
solves a lot of matchups.
Yeah, just imagine a Mono Lightning. You play like 3 of these and you just like Kefka them away and then you go.
I mean, just imagine Mono Lightning with this full stop.
Yeah.
That's not fun to imagine.
No, but with Kefka you can get rid of it and get rid
It
of other
doesn't
forwards
matter.
and then it's stuck. Anyways, next monster is called Anima. It's a 4-cost monster. It's a unique and it says reduce the power of opponent's forwards by 1,000.
I like this one a lot, though it's interesting because Anima is a summon from 10.
God,
Yeah,
So-
but this is a monster from theatre.
Yeah. Completely different.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
What's up,
If
Jared?
that was a backup, I would be like.
Oh yeah, but because it's a monster, it can be killed by a lot of things.
Well,
no, it can
No,
only
no,
be
no.
killed by one thing in the game. Oh no, 2 things in the
No,
game.
dragon.
Dragon and Alexander.
Kefka.
Oh,
I guess.
So 3 cards.
3
can
cards.
currently
Well, so
deal with
far,
this.
so far.
One of which is a legendary
Mm.
that
So far.
costs 8.
Mm.
Realistically, did you count rarity as a thing that you should be considering for a card's strength though? Like,
Not
it's
really.
just accessibility to the player base.
It is,
more than
yeah.
anything, right?
That's
Well,
right.
that's what I mean. Most like casual players don't have access to full complements of legendaries.
I like how this card is like a backup, like a power booster, because you can
As
play
a
this
power-
one and you can
Mm.
play like Lulu and
Yeah.
then be like, I got a 2K swing
I
on my
think
guy.
this
Yeah,
is
that's pretty
completely
cool.
fair.
I think
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, I think
I
it's
think it
fair.
is.
Yeah.
This could
I'm
definitely
amazed that
exist.
this is a rare and the other one was uncommon.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, it's just like Cleon. Cleon's a common, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The dragons are common.
Yeah.
I think Opus IV, the hero
Like-
slot, is amazing
Yeah.
in terms of everything in that.
The Opus 4
version.
hero slot is all
All
category
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just things that,
6.
that are for the category
Yeah.
6 archetypes.
Yeah, I
And
don't know.
Tama. Gotta remember.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this would actually be really interesting.
This
Yeah.
would be
to
cool,
have.
I think.
Yeah.
And it
that's
definitely
the
fits in Lightning, because Lightning
Mm.
does have the most, like, reduce the cost, or not cost, the size of your forward stuff.
I think a blanket reduction effect instead of just a on trigger when it enters play is quite nice.
And it also completely stops the OP Palom deck.
Wait. So they can't even go on the field.
Yeah.
You
No,
play them and go. Psh.
They die immediately, yeah.
Oh, you can play
And-
them. No, you can
oh.
play them and trigger Black
And
Knight.
water and fire can't kill this.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm.
They've got Kefko.
Yeah, which you were probably planning on playing with your Palom and Morons.
Yeah. Next one is King Behemoth.
Ah, delicious.
When King Behemoth enters the field, choose one forward,
So it's
break
got an
it.
EX
Yeah,
burst
as
there
well.
as well.
It's got
Yeah.
an EX.
Choose one forward, break it, and it's an EX burst. So that's the text that gets.
What?
Wait, what?
And then pay 2 lightning CP until the end of the turn. King Behemoth is also a forward with 9,000 power and the ability when King Behemoth attacks at the beginning of your next main phase. If King Behemoth is still on the field, deal 1 damage to your opponent.
And this got 6?
This is just like a finisher, like a big
Wait,
like
yeah.
thing, right? Like you're. Like,
King
I've got enough control over the game. I can play this now.
Yeah.
It does say first man phase, so it wouldn't be until your next turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be
Yeah,
until
yeah.
next turn. Yeah.
It's interesting, this thing.
It's like deal
Well,
2 damage.
I think it's
It's also a better 7 cost Odin.
No. The reason why I like this card is because Ahriman will be relevant.
Yes!
Yeah.
We need
Yay.
Ahriman to be played.
But at the same time, yes, the thing.
Just a big.
I think they would change it to 7.
Yeah,
wouldn't
because
they?
that's what they did with Odin, right? He was 6.
Oh, was he?
I think so.
I remember somebody saying
I'm
that
not
to me
sure.
or something
I'm
like that.
not sure.
But,
But I would change it to 7, definitely.
I think
Yeah.
an important thing to consider is this is an example of the power creep that happens after 15 set
Yeah.
releases.
yeah, what, which,
This is yeah.
I'm
15.
Right.
hoping we never get to this point.
No, I think this thing's fine.
Is it?
It's just a big
Okay.
finisher
Yeah, I
thing.
mean-
like you can only put so many of that kind of card in your deck. Right?
Yeah,
that's
This
true,
will probably
that's
be the
true.
one that takes a slot. I mean, I don't know what's in the other 15 sets.
Okay.
But, like,
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
to be
like-
fair, there was a lot of
like,
finisher
it,
cards.
it doesn't address the lightning's weakness we were talking
No, it
about.
doesn't.
So
True,
it's,
true.
it's just more.
And you can't
the same,
really
it's
play
just
it
a
like
big
turn
thing.
1 or anything.
And it's like, 2 CP to like, you should be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
With this sort
Yeah,
of thing.
sure.
So
yeah.
and it's not like I've won
And-
because I played all this.
no, and it needs to be like on the field for a turn, or you need to give it haste. And giving it haste is so expensive, so it's essentially going to be like what a 10 CP investment.
Maybe 9, 10 because of the.
It's also
doubling.
Yeah.
not that vulnerable though when it's not hasted. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to give it haste.
Yeah.
Ahriman though.
Oh, no.
And Alexander
Oh, my
though.
God.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, that's why I think this is.
Yeah, I think it's fine, but I think I would change it to 7, just to make it on par for the experts with the other.
Yeah.
But Odin is a relevant name.
Ooh.
That's true.
I don't know, King
I mean,
Behemoth,
King
Yes.
Behemoth might be as well.
Yeah.
All those
in this
S,
50 back,
King
Yeah.
Behemoth.
So in like Opus 10, they have this thing that cares about King Behemoth, and in Opus 15 actually print.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
King
Well, I mean,
Behemoth.
it can cost 1 less with Mira on board.
It can.
Ah.
When it dies, you find another break another thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
That's pretty good. Anyways.
But can you put it on top of your deck?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Stay tuned.
I can fail with Realm enough.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's about it for the Element Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
The last section is our deck reflection. So we're just gonna talk about our decks a little bit.
Just
and
some decks we've been playing since Opus
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
might cover the meta in later podcasts.
yeah, we'll cover the meta when it's relevant, because like
When there is a meta again,
Yeah.
I
This
think.
you're
is
gonna
the
wait till
off
Opus
season.
5.
yeah, we're essentially gonna wait to Opus 5 because that's when the regionals start
Yeah.
Yeah.
ramping up again.
We might like have one at the end of Opus 4 or something, just to wrap it up.
Maybe, yeah.
Because
Opus
it's
4,
been a little,
retrospective.
People
it's
play
been a little
cards.
quiet,
Mm.
this Opus.
Also, I just haven't been looking at decks. Like, I've just been happy making my own.
Yeah, it's fun making.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna first talk about my deck,
Alright.
just really quickly. It's Mono Earth.
No, it's
It's
not.
It's Mono Earth. It's Mono Earth. It's Mono
Inverted
Earth.
commas.
It's so basically this is
Like,
this is
you Alexandered me in your Mono Earth. It's not Mono Earth.
so pretty
Mono
much
Earth.
so this is my first attempt at a Mono Earth deck since Opus 4.
It's a bad attempt. It's not Mono Earth.
Oh,
Do you know
man.
my fire ice deck that's got lightning and water in it?
Yeah. Wait, so are you saying like every Golbez deck is like a 5-color, 6-color deck?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm not saying this isn't Mono Earth.
What's the
Ah.
percentage?
Yuffie's
threshold?
fine.
I think this
Yuffie's
is
fine, but
this is just barely mono Earth.
What's
Yeah,
the percentage
I can agree
threshold
with
though to define something as no longer be like?
yeah,
being
I am
straightforward?
overreacting, but I could be like on
Yeah.
like the cause
Yeah.
like if you put one more wind card in here.
I don't need one more card.
You're
I don't
saying 14%
Yeah.
win
Alright.
is fine, but 16% that's too far.
Yeah,
you know?
this is that's
More than
definitely-
7 cards, it
Yeah.
cannot be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15%. That's the cutoff.
No. The cutoff is GST.
What?
GST, okay.
So this isn't mono.
So when you have half a card that is
Yeah.
0.5 cards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so pretty much all based around Magic Pot. Okay, so that was the idea that I went into it. I'm like, when we did the Magic Pot Full of Hot Air podcast, put link here. We even I agreed at the time that Magic Pot as an Earth card was a cost, right? And this deck is trying to prove that it's not a cost, and you've got more than enough forwards to play.
I wish I wasn't playing a deck that had Alexander in it. The only time I've seen this deck so far, when I was playing
yeah.
you, I had
Alexander.
Magic Pot, so I
And
never
every time I put Magic Pot, it's just Alexander.
And hope that found it.
Yeah.
I never actually got to see Magic Pot,
Yeah.
so I can't comment on what you just said.
Yeah.
So it's like,
But I think it worked pretty well. I played it against Kevin as well, but we'll get to that first.
I also had Alexander in my deck.
Yes. It just happened to be like that. But let me talk about the deck a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It has wind cards, as you can see. So it's got 3 Myriad, 2 Alexander, 2 Yuffie, the Opus 3.
even you're running Alexander.
Alexander's a good card. Anyways, but the reason why I wanted to do that is because I was like, hey, Roban is a good Magic Pot target. What if Roban survives? I was like, hey, let's make Maria and Enocro together. So then, I put Maria and Enocro together. I put Tama because anything that's good as a Magic Pot is a good Tama build target.
That makes sense.
So,
Yep.
and I got put 3 Shantoto because of the Kefka. And the hero Kefka in this deck is essentially my Hyun. If you don't know, Hyun in Opus 4 is a 10k brave attacker. And then whenever I want to, if I attack with this Kefka and feel like it's done its job, then I Magic Pot it to the legendary Kefka and break a thing. And
or
then
the other way if you want to make that Kefka bigger. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
And go back to that Kefka.
and then go back to that Kefka, right? Yeah.
Back and forth, and back and forth.
I should put the Dark Kefka in here so I can search them.
You can set up the chain. You go
Yeah.
down. Kefka,
I
find
was-
Magic Pot. Magic Pot, find Kefka.
I was just nearby when that heroic Kefka was oppressing someone. Who? Oh, it's Greg, right? Was it? Or was it?
I'm not sure. What was I playing?
You were playing this, I think.
Yeah.
Because I had this huge.
Was
Kefka.
it against George?
No,
It was-
I think
it
it was
was
against
against
Greg the other day.
recently.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
wasn't good in the game.
Like, it was. I remember it just being too big, and I'm going, ah! Was it you?
Wasn't me.
Nah.
No, wait,
Yeah.
no, actually, no. It's something like that. I have been oppressed by that Kefka
Oh.
in a random game against Gary.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
it's like cheap and big. Like,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it
it is a 2 cost a lake and card.
I'm
After
going to highlight
Shantoto.
the biggest problem that we found with this the other day.
What?
The fact that it can't deal with really early aggression particularly well.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I changed the deck because of that.
Yeah.
Right, because my only 2 cost backup was Tama back then, and
Okay.
I was under the impression I was like, hey, 3 cost searchers are like 1 cost searcher, like 1 cost backups, and that is completely wrong. Because when you build the deck, you build 50 good cards, and you want to play all those cards,
Yeah.
and I was ditching the Kefkas early and not getting much use out of them, and instead if I played the 1 cost, then I could like just tap and get thing. But I need to get more 2 cost backups into it. The other thing is that I'm actually never really mana screwed because I've got Shantoto if I need that. I've also got Tama to Tama and I guess Shantoto or Maria.
Yeah.
But I got
You
Jesse to search for Yuffie, which is a win card. I got Rydia to search for Alexander, which is also a win card.
Mhm.
So I've essentially got
You can play all the win cards when you
Yeah,
pick
I
it.
essentially got 10
That
win
is
cards.
something I noticed against you.
Yeah.
Is, you were never like, I can't play this win
Yeah.
card. Although maybe
Oh,
you were in your head.
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
know.
no. One time I was like, oh no, I have no Earth CP.
Oh my god.
In this mono Earth.
Yes, I know.
No Earth CP.
No, CP. Oh my.
And
Because
that's
I-
why it's not a mono
Yeah, because I was
You
like,
can't try and make Mono Earth sound interesting by putting wind cards in it and calling it Mono Earth.
I think you can't say that. I can't play. I have no Earth CP in my mono Earth deck that has no light or dark cards.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing.
the thing is, right, was I had a Yuffie in hand and I think a Maria, and then I wanted to activate Magic Pots. I couldn't. And I was like,
God.
and I had like all my backups were dull. I was like,
wow.
Anyways, so I play the Atomos because over the 2-cost Hecatonker, mainly because I've got lots of wide, I got lots of big forwards, so they have to remove all the forwards if they need to get rid of that removal. And I've also got Gipple, which makes all my forwards big.
Whoa. Do you only have one of that Hecatonker?
Magic Pot takes a lot of space.
Because I'm not criticizing that. It's just it felt like you always had that thing.
Oh, really?
Like,
He's-
well, he's
so
also
I,
got-
I just assumed
I
you had
searched
three.
for it
He's
if
also
I'm not
got
searching for
Radius.
Alexander. Yeah.
But there's only one game you searched for it.
Well,
And
and
then
the
the
build
other
that
ones,
and
it
the
was
build that I
just-
had with you, I had 2 of the 2 costs and
Oh,
none of the
okay,
3 costs.
okay.
In
Yeah.
real monster, he's just stacking his deck.
But yeah, so let's talk about the things. When I've got Dark Knight is like plus whatever my damage to my guys. I got Gipple plus 4,000 to everyone. Roban, you can kill 2 guys on the field and stay on the field when you play him.
How does it kill two?
Magic pot.
Magic pot.
Oh right.
Yeah, I'm talking about all the magic pots.
Everything is a good
Yeah.
magic pot.
Gotcha.
Delita's just there to
Except for him.
That's
Stall-
Alexander.
Fantastic magic pot target.
Yeah.
No,
Fantastic.
it's pretty much there against lightning decks, right? As well as
What, to die.
You know,
yeah,
just-
to ruin their Alcid combo.
What it ruined for me wasn't Alcid combo.
Yeah.
It was playing the new Legendary Lightning when this was your only forward.
Yeah,
Oh.
I
because
just
that was
couldn't
just
play
breaking.
her. She must choose a thing,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
I'm a 13
Yeah.
character or not.
But he's just there to kind of stall me time until I can, build my backups and stuff. Weirdly enough, Vincent is my worst card.
I think so.
And
Because
this
he's
deck-
not a magic pot
You
target.
know what? It's because you also don't have free Yuffie.
Oh, come on.
You've been cutting back on this.
No. Every time I was like, okay, which card to discard? I was discarding Vincent's.
Yeah, this deck isn't a deck that needs Vincent.
Mm.
I think
Although
they
it-
could be like those other
I put
Vincents.
Vincent because I want to put Yuffie.
Yeah,
for
I think
when-
Yuffie is the more important part of the Vincent
Yeah.
Yuffie package in this deck.
Which means you don't need to be playing Yuffie. Is there another Earth Searcher that can
Okay.
find a wind card?
I don't think it's like Vincent's being bad.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think it's that
It's been bad.
if you discard something else, like that's your magic pot target. It's like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just can't. It's that the other things can't be. I see it as a weakness of the other cards, not as Vincent. A weakness of Vincent. It's like you have to keep hold of them.
I would like to
Quite
fit a
impossible.
Vinyl in here, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
But that means I would have to put more Hecatonkers. It would change the deck a
I
little.
think I mean Delita could easily become Vanille. Like,
Yeah, well-
Vanille is just as much of a wall as Delita is.
Oh yeah, but like Delita's an 11k.
Now remember, he's also looking for things that stop Alcid from mattering.
Yep, Vanille.
I know,
No.
but Vanille doesn't kill the
Yeah.
things.
Well,
Like the Delita turns the Alcid into an Odin that costs an extra card.
that's true.
Well, it's essentially.
Deleter doesn't do that.
No,
you just don't use
I-
Alcid on Deleter.
I'm not saying that's what it does.
I-
I'm saying that's what Murad thinks it does.
No, but
I don't think he does.
but I've just I've got a threat on the board, and you
Yeah.
can't outsit it.
Mm.
Yeah, but Vanille's the same.
Yeah, Vanille's the same.
No, but you'll still outsit it and have 2 forwards, right?
And then
Well,
Vanille
if
will
you-
block both of them.
No, but if you choose
Yeah.
to outsit Delita, then you've lost both of those guys.
So you're saying
Yeah,
you
but
just
I-
make
I-
your Vanille smaller
that I
so it
don't-
can't.
I don't choose to Alcid Deleter, and then you play another forward. Whereas Vanille, I can still choose to Alcid Vanille, and then you can have another forward and it's not getting Alcided. Or I'm just holding on to these cards in my hand, not doing anything, you've got a Vanille, right?
I think they occupy different spaces.
I think
Really?
I think Vanille in that instance would complement Delita because it's yet
Yeah.
another thing. Like, because if your goal is then to play more things that just ignore him, I mean that maybe that's what your Vincents could be. They could be Vanilles.
Yeah, actually, I think that's good. I think I'll change my Vincent
Deleter
to
gets answered by a lot more, like Vayne, Alexander, for example. Yeah.
Anyways, that's my deck.
Mm.
Do you want to talk about your deck, Kevin?
Yeah, sure. This is one I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, but I couldn't come to the podcast
yeah.
when this deck was relevant. So here is my long-awaited question mark. Palom Ramza combo deck that just deals a ton of damage.
I love this deck.
It's pretty cool.
I like this as well, especially when it goes off. And it also has what I like to call the Yu-Gi-Oh backup line with black mages and one mage which is not quite like the rest. I wonder if you can see which one it is.
One of these.
White mage.
Yes.
White mage. You play the white mage.
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah, clearly. So
Blue mage.
I have a feeling this deck could just be better not running the black mages, but the black mages are really fun to play because you can just play backups and to respond to your opponent's threats.
Like, this is the backup line where you go, I'm playing a meme deck, so I might as
Yeah.
well.
That's
I had a
essentially
similar thought the last
Yeah.
time I put together a Dragoon deck. I just like, I can't be bothered figuring out these backups. I'll put Lulu and
The
these
lightning
black
red mage is
mages.
actually really good in this deck.
Yeah, because every like a lot of the damage things, it damages things often and wants them to die with Ragia
So
and
Lulu.
Palom.
So we're talking about sorry?
No, the black mage.
Oh, okay.
Opus 1?
Yeah. I was thinking about if Lulu was a black mage, that'd be so.
No.
Oh.
That's less black mages.
The problem is they have to be called black
Yeah,
mage,
they have
not
to-
have.
Oh,
like
they have to be
black
called
mage.
black mage.
Yeah, because of the reason why I'm making this backup line, which is the Opus 3 black mage, which reduces the forward's power by 8k if you have 3 other black mages as well. 4 black mages total.
I really wish that both that and the red mage said job or
Yeah.
Especially because Palom is
yeah,
a black
Palom
mage.
is and Vivi is.
Yes. It's really unfortunate.
I think
There's-
they might even push it into like being a
Good
card
card.
that would
I
see
think
play.
Yeah.
this list is different to when I saw it. I think it used to have Zaz, right?
Yeah, that was before I put the black mages in.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
Saz. I played against that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got the red mage for some set.
I could cut the red mage from Dodge and Saz.
If this had a real
So-
backup line, what do you think?
I think you would just make it like a full control deck. You'd
Mhm.
run like Duke Otana especially, and then you could just run Seymours and stuff.
I think you should explain the combo just in case people have.
Oh yes, okay. So the combo is to have a goblin on board, and then you play
combo.
and then you play Ramza Palom, so they don't die instantly, because those are both very fragile. And then you haste the Ramza, who then hastes the Palom, and then the Palom attacks. And then when Palom deals damage, you can put it in the break zone and get another Palom from your deck. And since a forward you control is put into the break zone, Ramza activates, which means you can give your next Palom haste, and then you can deal like 4 damage in one turn.
And this is why you gave Ramza haste and then Dolda to
Yeah.
give it haste, so it can still use its effect.
Mm.
Yeah, it's great. Like if you have no blockers, like and suddenly out of nowhere you can take like 6 points of damage.
6
or
points of
something.
damage.
And it's like,
If I have another forward on board. So from one
Yeah.
forward on board, I can deal like 6 damage. I have dealt 6 damage in
Yeah.
one turn before by killing my own imaginary brawler with the last Palom to activate Ramza for the last attack. That was an interesting
That's cool.
play. And also even if you do have blockers, it's actually really fine because you red mage the blocker and then you could attack deal damage with Palom, and then your last Palom would kill it, as well as getting all this damage.
Mhm.
So that's why in an earlier version of this I ran 3 right deer and 2 onion knights, just because the dull effect on right deer was so relevant, just
Yeah.
to get past a blocker and kill it while dealing tons of damage.
Yeah. I noticed you got no Light of Dark cards.
No, I don't.
Do you think Zemus might be a really nice include? Like this, you'd have to go away from your meme backup line.
Yeah. And I think definitely going away from the black mage backup line is potentially fine.
I was just
It's
thinking.
potentially fine. Like, it may be better.
Hey, I think
This is pretty good though.
I
Like,
think
have you
all
played
those black
against it?
mages are really strong.
I was
I
just
played
thinking,
against it when it wasn't a meme backup
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
I played it with like Dodge and Zaz.
Yeah.
It was really good. Like, I really liked it.
I was just thinking if you want to stretch this sort of more towards it being a terrible combo deck,
Whoa.
you could add wind
Yes.
for no
Mm-hmm.
and / or Shempazai as well, just to make sure that you don't have to worry about what your
Right.
opponent's board is when you go
Right,
further
right.
But
out.
if
How
you're
long
doing
is
win
it
with
arguing?
no and you've got Zemus already,
Well,
you
yeah.
don't have to worry about
You don't have to worry
I
about
was
it.
going to argue for full Moogle.
But you can-
Yes,
Yes.
full Moogle.
That's the competitive one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why Black Mage tribal?
I'm sorry. I should go Moogles instead.
Yeah, Moogle
Well,
tribal.
These elements
MogPod
have the
tribal.
best Moogles, I think. Like the fire and the lightning Moogle.
Blanc
Yeah.
and
Like when you
Gay.
make a Moogle deck, I think those are the two you're powering up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's why you're doing it.
Mm.
I found I would also like when I had Moogles in a deck, it was often Horn. Was one that
That's
I
because of
was-
your playstyle.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's because you had Moogles in your deck because you're trying to assemble Golbez Ash.
I wanted my evil Exodia, yes.
Mm.
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool. I really like the Ranger. There you go. I want to talk about the Ranger.
Yeah.
It was actually very popular in the Japanese meta.
That's a
It's
very
been used-
recent inclusion for me.
Is it? Yeah. How's that been for you?
It's been really good because before I didn't have too many ways to use the 4-cost Black Mage, but I had to put it in the deck because it was a Black Mage.
Mm.
So now I can actually
Deal 7k.
Yeah,
Yeah.
deal a lot of damage with that Black
You could
Mage.
Also, with the first Palom, deal 2k to this. And with the second Palom, deal 2k to this.
Okay. I guess I could do that.
Why? But
You
why?
can.
I
But
can.
why?
I
Then
think-
the second power would transform before it hit the damage to the opponent.
I think Minwu was the reason you put this in the deck, right?
Well,
What?
Minwu.
No, it's not
Alright.
Minwu.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't exactly answer Minwu.
Well, if you reduce
Yeah.
their power by 8,000,
Yeah.
then it does.
Yes.
Then it does, right?
I guess that's true.
I remember the article up on the official FFTCG page when they were starting to spoil Opus 2.
Mm.
And they were talking about how, we know that Minwu's been a problem, so we're printing more cards that reduce power.
Mm.
And we've got like 5 now.
Yeah.
It's really interesting versing this deck as well because it's quite different to versing most other decks. You see a red mage in play, you need like 3 forwards, and
Yeah.
it's like these forwards could be anything, but you need 3 of them.
Yeah.
They just have to be
So
there.
what happens when you see 5 black mages?
Ooh.
And then it's like, hooray, there's a red mage.
And it's like break a Black Mage. Black Mages all kill things, which is really important. Because technically, this is kind of a control. This is like as close to a control combo deck that exists in the game currently, I think.
I think these like tribal backups will get quite interesting if they
Mm.
start transitioning to having forwards with exactly the same names.
Yeah.
I do want us
Without
to
the multi-card icon.
Hopefully.
Without the multi-card.
Without the
Maybe.
multi-card.
So you want a named black.
A named black mage that doesn't have the
so long as it has an
multi-card.
S
That would mean that you
ability.
can't play
Oh,
any
yeah.
Black Mages that have the
It has to have an S ability because
And
you
it has to
can't
be
play
amazing.
backups.
Yeah.
It has to be like deal 4k to everything.
Mm.
And just
And-
S it multiple times.
Or a black mage that requires you to sacrifice
Actually,
all black
that would be
mages.
the same
into black.
theme. If it didn't have multi-card, but it had an S that was like a tiny, like Barrett, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing. You need to play lots of black mages
No,
to
but
get like.
that'd be pretty cool.
The issue is that you can play.
It would be
extra
terrible.
backups
It'd be
and-
absolutely terrible.
That way, would they ever give an S to a multi-card icon?
No,
I don't
I said
think so.
to a not a multi-card
Yeah.
icon.
Actually, you could check if that was ever a thing. Probably not.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to be named.
Yeah,
named
I
card.
think
It
so.
could be like an entirely innocuous effect.
Mm.
Search for a black mage by discarding a black mage.
Look at the top card of your deck. You know.
Are you sure you don't want more goblins in this deck?
Yeah, that's the point.
That was the thing until it's a deck without Ramza, honestly. It's Ramza dealing 4 damage is just kind of a bonus. It's also just like a fire lightning control deck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not entirely all in on this plan. So if you look at things that aren't called Ramza, there aren't actually very good targets for Goblin. Because none of them actually, other than Imaginary Brawler, they don't really
Well,
have.
Palom without a Ramsey is still.
Yeah,
something.
I guess.
It's still like an extra damage and it
Yeah,
upgrades
yeah.
to something. But
Uh,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
On that note, what do you guys think of the legendary panel?
Oh, the
The
new
new
one
one?
that was spoiled. Actually, that was a discussion point I was going to bring up. In this deck, this particular deck, even without Palom, it's just better. Because currently the 3-cost Palom is a completely dead draw. It's a vanilla 6k. Whereas if I had the 5-cost Palom, it would deal the same when I searched it with the 1-cost, as well as like if I draw it, it's not completely bad.
And then still do something when it's in play.
It'll deal 7k to something and like.
I just noticed there's only 3 EX bursts. as well.
Yes, there
Does
are.
that feel when you're playing? the deck?
Well, hopefully.
And that only difference
They're
as well.
Ifrit, yeah.
Like they're not
Yeah.
like big things.
Yeah.
Like,
There was a deck that won one of the tournaments just recently with 0 EX burst.
Well, yeah, E-Express aren't really.
I always feel when I play decks.
No,
I just-
I like E-Express because it's like I believe in the heart of the cards. And like,
How much value do I want for no effort?
Yeah.
Yeah, hit me. Stop trying to hit me.
Although I guess maybe I could put some 7-cost Odins because this is already a pretty heart of the cards like deck, you know. I'm pretty much Yugi. I just win with a degenerate combo involving black magicians.
we should rename this to the Yugi deck.
Ramza
And all you need to do now is make up rules as you play the cards.
Exactly. Right.
I think that
You
would be
also need
good.
to like censor all of your opponents'
Yeah.
random things.
Just looking at it says the 4 special abilities. I'm like, well, 2 of those are Palom
Yeah,
you can't
two of
use.
those.
It took me ages to figure out, oh, it's the VV. The VV has Fire Rigger. I don't think I've ever seen anyone use Fire Rigger.
Yeah, especially it kills most of your. It kills all of my forwards actually.
Jared, do you want to talk about your deck?
So I think I alluded to the fact that I was going to put together something like this in one of our previous podcasts.
Yes.
This is my mono 6 forwards fire. I mean, it's
I think I misread that to 7, and then I looked at the
No.
cards. I looked at the cards and I was like, oh, okay.
You guys like 7 too much.
well, that's because it's excellent. You see. But anyway, no, it's a deck that I.
It's excellent, is it? Tell me, what 7 cards do you have?
Anyway, I put this together because
Anyway, it's a mono 6.
it's an almost. There are I think Firians, Xandes, and Caius. Those are the only ones.
13, an excellent.
14 and excellent.
2, I guess. Potentially excellent game. I've never played it. But yeah.
But 14 divided by 2 is 7.
Anyway, it stood to reason to me when looking at all of the fire forwards from the category 6 fire forwards from the new set that they all did like 3 different things, especially like even Edgar has 3 different lines of text on him. So I wanted to try and just see if I put these all in one place, whether or not there was just a functioning mono fire deck, and there is, and it is especially resilient, or a little more resilient against one of what I see as mono fire's more difficult matchups, at least in the current environment, which is mono ice, because of
That's funny, never used to.
because of not before Ghoul, basically before Ghoul, ice wasn't a problem, but because fire has no way to actively deal with it.
This is how we divide the time period. There's
Mm.
before
Yeah.
Ghoul,
Yeah.
BG, and
Yeah.
then
AG.
AG.
Yeah. But the
Cyan,
it's Cyan
Yeah,
that gives
Cyan,
them
I
the
think
brave
it's
buff.
the
It
brave
means
buff
you can be more aggressive without having to worry about your damage line.
But hang on, Cyan, what's his S again?
So Cyan's S is
Dull.
Bushido Fang.
Yeah.
He's S dull. Choose a forward at the start of your turn. Break it.
This reminds me, if he's still there, right?
If he's
Yeah.
This reminds me of, you know, I was saying when they sylph, I'm like, haha, this is like, okay, it's brave, this is really annoying, this is annoying, and then you just wait for them to pull the trigger on this thing, and you're like, where's all my Shivas? They work now!
Yeah.
I did fall into that trap once playing
But I
against
don't
you.
get it. What?
Oh, because the Shiva,
My Shiva's not doing anything, because
Because
it's
the
not
2
dull.
costs the new one.
the new Shiva that
Yeah.
kills a dull
Okay.
thing,
Yeah,
basically.
because they're all brave.
Yeah.
You wait until Cyan dulls himself, and then you kill him.
Yeah.
It's got the deck has a fairly straightforward mono fire backline. I don't think I've got anything out of the ordinary
You
there.
play the backup VP instead of the forward VP.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the backup VP. Scholar is an exceptional new addition from Opus IV, especially with the new Black Mage. I'm playing the 3 copies of the new Bahamut again. I play a lot against Chris, so
What?
the
This
new
not really built again to make use of Shadow.
no, it's
Shadow's
not.
not
Shadow's
useful.
only really in there because he's another 6/4. And a brave first striker is
It's
better
not
than
bad.
just a
Yeah.
first striker.
A brave first striker that can always win combat
Yes.
with a burn.
Provided you've got cards in hand.
Yeah.
Do you remember my meme Fire Ice? I've got a meme Fire Ice full of high costed cards, like 3 Saffron, 3 Omarus, 3 like Bahamuts, and it didn't work so well.
Obviously.
Well, I mean, he can throw away like the one of Caius or the one of
Bahamut.
like Big
Bahamut.
Bahamut, and they get in some actual damage. And Edgar's, after you've hit your Sabines,
Mm.
are okay to shadow away. Bomb is, I don't think that my current version of it still runs 3. I think this list is a little bit old. I can't remember what I'm running. I think I'm running 3 Firians instead of 3 bombs now.
Okay.
Fairy you already got.
No.
You upped it by one, load bomb by one.
Reduce one.
Yeah, I think that's where the difference is.
I'm interested why you're not playing 3 Emperors under in one card.
That's something I was.
It's
a mono.
I originally it was because I wanted to try out Caius, and because I felt I had enough cards named Bahamut that he would effectively be a Zande most of the time. I've honestly been a little disappointed in him in this deck. Most of the time he just ends up finding a Bahamut, but at that point in time, like when that's what he's doing, the Light Terror is achieving that goal just as well. So
that's true.
Like long term, he's probably going to become another Zande. But it is nice just being able to sort of toolbox out like the Bahamut that you need at any one point in time if
I
you
wanted
need
to
to.
ask about Terror as well. How do you feel about Terror in this list?
I've like she's become one of the selling points on it for me. I mean, the ability to be like you and I have discussed this off the podcast quite a lot. I think I agree with what we've more or less come to
Me too.
think of is that she's a lot better when she can find combat tricks, because that opens up whole new avenues of play that just finding another piece of removal doesn't.
And also, I think this is one of the decks that can best use that terror because you can attack with it because it gets brave. You can use the 6k damage to kill something with Edgar or General Leo's attack.
Or any of your backups.
Yeah. And you can also find a combat trick that wins you the terror attack. So it can fully utilize all aspects.
I've even Beliased her so I could S her the turn she's come into play, and then go find the I think. No, I didn't find the big Bahamut, but I killed one of their things and then found a Bahamut to kill another one of their things, and then swung in for lethal with the other guys. So yeah, like she's just really versatile in a fire deck.
Yeah, I think so.
So against Minwu, how good?
Well,
No,
there's enough.
well, no,
I think.
you have more than one card in the deck that just says Breaker Forward.
Yeah, I know.
So
yeah.
the problem cards that Minwu protects are ever so slightly less of an issue.
That's what I'm saying. Like mono fire is better to be.
But
just
at the end of the
This
day,
is
they're
very
still
different
on S abilities, and I cannot search for any of them.
Greg came up with a good point, which surprised me, and then he told me why. I couldn't tell you the reasoning, you'd have to have him on here. But he was saying that post Opus 4, he's been finding water easier and ice harder with his mono fire lists.
It's because
he's been running
Sibi.
3. No, I think the biggest part is Sephiroth.
Oh
with
yeah,
the
he's playing
shadows.
3 separate.
Yeah.
No, but I found like, I think he's playing my mono fire, his mono fire, just like my old fire earth deck. But he's just attacking with big guys.
With this deck, the easiest change to make if your meta is is dominant with water players is you just take out the terrors for Sephiroths and increase the. Oh no, yeah, my shadows are at 3 in here as well.
So that's just perfectly
So
fine.
three
substitution,
Sephiroths, 3 shadows, and then you don't have to worry about Minwu as
here's
much.
the other thing. Do you think Terror is essential to the deck or just good?
I think she's just good in their deck.
You could just change it for Sephiroth anyway.
Yes,
If you don't need her.
Because destroying a backup destroys their game plan.
that's true.
It's also another expensive card though. You have a lot of cards.
Yeah, but that's Shadows. Like Shadow wants that.
No,
I was already saying I was thinking about taking the Caius into another Zande, and I suppose the other reason I liked having the Caius with the Zande is because you can have a Caius and a Zande in play, whereas you can't have 2 Zandes in play.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
It's
pretty straightforward.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I like how the 6 cards all go together.
Yeah.
You know how before this is a nice holistic podcast. When I was talking about the counter to things with the sylph against my eyes, Brave isn't like that because Brave is like they didn't actually invest anything.
Yeah.
When you play the Cyan, just all of the board becomes pseudo immune to most of the.
There's no window where I can
payoffs.
exploit that other than his own S.
Your Zeller becomes nothing.
Well, it turns off all of the ice payoff cards, and the ice payoff cards are the reasons, generally speaking, that Fire has trouble.
And then there's a ton of 4-drops in here too.
Yeah. The other thing I really like about this deck, and this is just an aesthetic thing, is almost entirely Yoshitaka Amano art.
Oh, yeah.
It just makes
Just
it's just
Zande.
nice to look at.
Even Furion.
Yeah.
Just Zande and Kaia's disgusting.
Mhm.
You talk
I
about
still quite like.
I mean the
the
forwards.
forward line.
the
Yeah.
forwards, yeah.
Okay.
That would be really cool. Just
It's just a pretty deck to
Yeah,
play because
yeah.
I managed to get a bunch of them in foil already. And
That's
Yeah.
cool.
We can rename this the Yoshitaka Amano fanboy deck. I mean, that's got to be a thing eventually. You can
Yeah,
probably make
you'll
a
get it.
deck,
No,
an entire deck.
Yeah, there's gonna be a cloud like that, right?
I really love the cloud
With the red
Yoshitaka
13.
Amanos.
The
Like,
Red 13, yeah.
But I almost once where I work, my boss occasionally brings in like art books and things we sell, and I kicked myself for not buying it, but he had this really gorgeous
This guy?
Yoshitaka Amano art book that it had heaps of like the old, like the early Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got the whole set. It's called The Sky, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
so, it's so
It's very
pretty.
cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I should bring it next time. You can It's very cool.
I'll just get jealous.
On a conversation-based, like, medium, you're gonna just have him sit there looking at pictures, and describing them visually.
In our audio podcast.
Okay, so George, you want to tell us about this deck that you played?
I mean, it's one that I just neck-deck the hell out of.
This is an interesting and quirky concoction.
This was in a Japanese tournament, right?
Okay.
This was
Came second, I
second.
believe.
So just talk us through it.
To be honest, you can get by without playing Golbez at all. Like, as just an
Really?
wind deck, it felt pretty solid.
It's so
There's
what,
not,
it's
there's
like
not many
a,
wind cards. Would you say this is Earth Wind? It's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, same amount of wind cards.
This is actually only has 7 lightning cards as well. 6 lightning cards. So this is a mono earth deck. Right?
Yeah.
This is a
Yes,
mono earth.
this is
Yeah.
mono.
Mono earth.
okay. It's also
Wait, George, do you also get Earth CP screwed? I'm joking.
I'm not sure if I had been OC.
Well,
I actually had too many wind cards.
it also
Wait,
has
hold on.
Angus in the
Oh,
deck
no,
as
wait,
well.
wait,
so
no.
Oh yeah, Angus.
No, there's
English
10.
decks are so much fixing. It's
Oh
just
no,
so-
sorry. There's 10 wind cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh yeah.
It's not one of
10.
Oh yeah, it's earth
But-
wind,
I
definitely.
guess this is an actual Earthwind deck.
The main thing is just the synergy between Arc Maria and having Anna Crow in
Yeah.
play is actually very nice.
Yeah, those are some disgusting row members.
Yeah, those row members are.
Those row members are absolutely filthy. But
Like in our little meta, maybe it's just because people are experimenting a lot. I haven't seen many rows, and I'm personally quite happy about it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I feel like
Because I'm moving away from. I'm trying other things.
Yeah,
Okay.
I-
I thought that might be.
You and I also
Yeah.
haven't played much with my new 7 deck, which has them.
True.
And
I
there's
thought
also-
you had
No,
to
because
make that deck.
I already know
Yeah.
how good they are, and if I want to put them in a deck competitively, then
Yeah.
I will. I'm just trying other things to see what
Okay.
sticks. You know?
I too haven't played mono water at all the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
mostly been water something else.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, George.
Yeah.
Continue.
I don't know. I mean,
You like the robot, don't you?
the robot was quite nice. Oh, it's 10k, and then you kill something.
Yeah.
What's not to like, but Ignis pulls a lot of work.
Ingus. Ignis is still to come.
Oh, there's actually a couple. Okay, sweet.
Well, because he's one of the characters from 15.
Did you ever find that you drew the Cosmos? Both of them.
That's the thing. I don't know if I'd like to. I never actually played it.
Oh, really?
I never actually played it.
And you still managed to do everything with Shantoto?
Yep.
Okay.
I never actually played the Cosmos when it came into play. Like, I had the option to.
Right.
I even would go games where I had Golbez and I'd just pitch it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Golbez is super essential to this deck.
Especially
Like,
if you
once
only have one of the...
You got so many one-offs on the Standard Unity Searches for he becomes irrelevant at a certain point.
This is the sort of deck that would make Greg's skin crawl.
Yeah.
This reminds me a lot of holistic podcast again. This reminds me a lot of my Cadets Golbez deck, where it's like it's not actually a Golbez deck. It's a deck doing its own thing, and then Golbez just is a really nice.
Well, the thing is, if you get Golbez and you haven't hit search targets yet, and then you've got all the power buffs in play, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Knight is ridiculous. Gladiator also.
Warrior.
The Warrior comes in as
Warrior.
what, a 10k guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tank out the Pugilist.
Pugilist.
Yeah,
Some
Pugilist.
is like, how big
Yeah, the
is that
Pugilist is
Pugilist
just
get?
massive.
6k plus 3
Free,
So,
yeah, free. He's like 14.
oh god.
The Ranger is nuts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you actually were really.
I've
really
very
like
much
the
enjoyed
Ranger.
that Ranger, but that was just
See,
because like
Ranger's another card. I'm like, I'm putting this in because of Alcid.
oh, it
It's
was
not
just
just because of Alcid. It has a lot of
Yeah.
other.
Is it
Part of me still really wants to make the like Rangers and what's the bow guy?
Rangers Trey.
Trey.
Can you say no?
Yeah.
I think technically Ranger is better than Trade.
Is it Tactics Ice where it has all of those? Oh no, was it a Tactics Ice deck? And they were trying to use all the dull effects and stuff. And I could just have the Ranger sitting there. And they could never attack past
yeah,
it.
yeah.
They had no way of interacting with it.
Yeah, Ranger's like ability
Lightning
is
Ice.
really important right now. A lot of strong abilities are in the game.
Also, Dynaluma is
monsters.
hilarious versus Snow.
Mm.
Oh, you dulled me. That's fine.
You die.
Not if Sarah's in play.
Oh.
Yeah.
The other cool combo that you tried to do against me was your goal
tried?
base. No, it would have worked if.
If it wasn't
for
for
the
the
middle
middling kids.
Yeah, it was. Yes. No, but what
That
happened
goal
was-
bet poops out.
Yeah, no. So he attacked with Golbez, right? And
Yeah.
I blocked him with a 10k. I think he had no power boosters, right? So my 10k blocked it, and then he got all of the backups or whatever, and I was like,
forwards.
all the forwards,
Yeah.
and then he tried to pitch a win card for the Y'shtola,
Yeah.
and then it didn't work. I forgot why it didn't work. It's
It's a
because
win card to the Y'shtola. Oh no, I was contemplating bringing in Y'shtola.
yeah,
Because I was the reason why was I was possibly going to be able to use the win CP to ping you to
kill something.
to kill the guy
Yeah.
that had blocked Golbez, but then I was going to be one CP short.
No, I thought you couldn't do it even if you tried.
No, I was one short.
Oh, okay.
It was like a 3k gap, and I only had 2 win.
Yeah, I had big guys. I
So
was
I didn't have a
playing,
win card in hand, so I had I
Yeah.
couldn't push that. That was why.
yeah.
If you only had a Cosmos.
But
in
that
play.
was,
Yeah.
but that was, no, but that
To
was
be
a
honest,
really.
Okay, you got like 3 power boosters, and you want to have a WR, remember, and you probably want to get Shantoto. Like, where are you using
Yeah.
the Cosmos?
Yeah, I think
Go
Like, it's
for
color
Cos-
fixing, but like honestly,
There's not
Yeah.
really a lot of backup space in that stat.
it's not what you want.
definitely.
Like, I would rather have any of my power boosts or the Arima, but like I've got 4 slots that I ideally want something, and then
Yeah.
you probably want Shantoto.
Yeah, Shantaro fills the same. role as
Yeah.
Rydia is color fixing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because you got the
Well,
Azura
that's-
there
and,
and Tudor.
and that's why you got the delay to break it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I actually like that putting the Y'shtola on this deck to be like, okay, I can actually punish you
Just
for.
randomly
for
having
blocking-
blocking the
and
goal
you have
base,
just
yeah.
the right amount of win CP to do AK with double Luma. So.
Yes, there's that too.
Daluma.
So-
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I
so,
can see that.
So
Yeah,
this
that's
is
cool.
This is also a mono Earth.
This has been the first time I've actually enjoyed playing Earth cards. So, I mean, like a
Well, it's
heavy
because
Earth.
you've got like the interesting Earth cards in this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
like,
Dardaluma and Roban.
it made me go.
Yeah, you are
hey.
so mean.
Like Opus, no, but it was like Opus 4 actually made Earth more interesting
Yeah.
for me to play.
Yeah,
like, I
amazing.
quite
That's
like
what I
that.
said in the spoilers as well, right? So
Earth was always great.
And this is using Vanille with the double power boosters.
Yeah.
yeah.
And also
It's
with
gonna be-
having the
I've-
triple power
a
boosters, Hecaton here feels
Yeah.
slightly nuts.
I've had a lot of fun just like going Earthwind for extra power boosters.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a surprising shift. Like that second one.
Yeah.
The second one just makes your guys like
So much more
massive
value.
compared to everything
True.
else.
And that's why I went mono Earth.
Mono Earth, we have to say.
I do like the Arc and Ingus. Ingus? Is Ingus?
Yes.
What? No. Carry on.
You-
Sorry,
you're
I had
like
random other thought.
Okay.
It's a random different thought.
I do like the standard unit synergy. However, I do quite prefer Golbez with like haste forwards.
Yeah. it's
Because,
definitely-
Like he does just like he break rule and then you like they still have a turn to answer everything. Where
If
like I prefer that.
I have a
version.
question for you. If
Yep.
you're against Ice Deck
Yep.
and they've broken like a couple of plans of Renault for Kefka on Golbez, are you gonna surge?
Wait, what?
So Renault is on the stack. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Oh.
Am I going to search?
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Wait.
open yourself to Zalaro?
But also, am I just not going to get 4
Well,
forwards
you'll
in
just
play?
mill for. Like,
So-
if
But
Zalaro's
remember, those
there,
4
like-
cards aren't useful for him if he
Yeah.
draws them. Like the warrior and the the gladiator and the knight, he doesn't want to draw
So
anyway.
Oh,
so you're
yeah.
like you're,
Yeah.
You might
would,
search for those two
Mm.
just to
like-
make sure that they're out of the deck.
How does the staff work in there?
Kefka kills it first, right?
Yeah,
First,
okay.
Renault is
Yeah.
dead, it goes on the stack, and then
Yeah.
Kefka comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what worst case, I got 4 dull forwards, so that I've still got to survive the thing that you're going to attack me with anyway. Like,
I'm probably if I've sacrificed flyers, then I guess I got forwards still.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, like, but bring them in and not bring them in. The difference is like either way, I've got an empty. Like either I have an empty board or I have 4 dull things. So I've essentially got an empty board.
Yeah.
It's like I might as well just have the
the
possibility.
reason, because I'm thinking a game like with goal base, it can die to running out of cards. Like this is why I brought it
Yeah,
up.
but I feel like that's more of a struggle when you're going to be breaking goal bears repeatedly. If you do it once, it's fine.
I think so.
I mean, then again, I played Water Light a lot, which punishes you, like, mills your deck way harder than this does. So, like, goal bears seems like soft compared to the amount of punishment you inflict on yourself with Water Light just to get more.
The Ultima.
Yeah.
Yeah, resolve Ultima 3 times or something. No, 2? You run 2,
It's
right?
2
I think
It's
you only
2
run 2,
times.
yeah, but it's a lot either way.
But
I
if
mean,
you get
either
it back too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can echo it back.
Resolving Ultima versus goal bears, now that was...
That feels good.
Yeah, it feels
So,
very good.
so hang on, this whole thing is like the Kefka and the Renault and then everything's dull and then the Ultima. Like,
Yeah.
aha!
Yeah. I actually really like this. They put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. It's,
Like there's a place for every card.
I'm a
And-
little iffy on the Cosmos.
There's a little leeway. Like you could put haste forwards instead.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
you
no, no.
can-
I approve of its forward selection
Yeah.
with its backup and the thing. I just maybe wouldn't run the Cosmos, to be honest.
Just turn
Just-
it into like more a Tama or another Rydia or
Yeah.
another Shantoto.
Yeah, I think
Some
can-
combination, like add
Yeah.
2 to one, no, or not, add 1 to each of 2 of those other one-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chris, you want to quickly tell us about your deck?
Alright, I think the Mono X would be cool because it's like an Ice 6 deck to mirror your Ice 5
Okay,
deck
Oh yeah.
as well. And that's the one I've been playing the most as well.
Didn't you talk
but-
about Mono Ice last podcast?
Did I?
Yeah, I
It was
did,
so
yeah.
long
It
ago.
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
every podcast was
It's changed since
Wait,
then,
there's a
though.
card we haven't talked about, Chris. What is it?
Yeah, I put Make a Chocobo in the deck since then. Like, that was a revelation putting Make a
Someday
Chocobo
we
in
will
the
have
deck.
a podcast.
I
but
finally
the
got my
words
3
Mecha
foil.
Chocobo are not said.
I
Has
got
not
my
been
3
uttered.
foil Mecha Chocobo.
Opus
so I'm so
15.
happy.
Mecha Chocobo is still
It's still
relevant.
relevant.
Yeah, like, so at first, when I started experimenting putting in Mecha Chocobo, initially I didn't have Mecha Chocobo. And in fact, the reason, like, the way this deck came together is quite different how you made your Category 6 Fire deck. Because you started with this, shove all the Category 6 stuff in and see if it works. And then with my Ice, it slowly ended up with all the Category 6 stuff. Like, it started with obvious ones, like the Searchers.
Sellers.
Yeah. And then I came over time to appreciate Lock and Celis.
I remember when we were having like your initial conversations about your Mono Ice, you weren't sure about a lot of the 6 characters at
Yeah,
first.
it's true. Like,
And it was a more eclectic sort of
yeah.
coalition of different ice cards.
Yeah, and they've ended up really good. Like, I think, we have talked about Lock and Celis before. So just to talk about the new thing, I took out the Renault Kefka combo because it was really cool. I did get to do it, and I never felt bad drawing the pieces or anything. It's just I really wanted to try these other cards, and I tried out Mecha Chocobo. I put in 2, thinking it would be like Genesis. I really like 2 Genesis, so I put in 2 Mecha Chocobo, and I really wanted to use it against water because I figured that's where it would be one of the worst matchups. I wanted to stress test it basically because I have water quite often, especially Kevin's water quite often has active forwards because of Zidane.
So I think that is the strongest mode. The Zidane's effects are listed in order of increasing power. Draw, discard, activate.
Yeah, like especially like, against me, like that activate is it's a broken card against me. Like, it's like not serious, not actually broken, like, just very good. So yeah, I wanted to stress test it, and it turned out I always wanted to make a Chocobo. So I decided it's more like Renoa and less like Genesis. It's more like Kuja. Like I want 3, even I put in 2 Kuja, but like I want 3 Mecha Chocobos, and I've been really happy with it. Like the thing with Mecha Chocobos, you have to force yourself to play it. It's very easy to choose to discard it for CP. I've come to realize. It's not without haste. It's not immediately useful, and you just have to be like, okay. It's very similar to flan in that respect as well. You have to force yourself to play a flan, and then if you generate the value, it's insane.
No, with flan it's just 1 CP when you don't.
No. It's very easy to discard your flan. Like when you're trying to discard what to discard for stuff. It's like, are you discarding your lock or your flan? You know. So I forced myself to discard lock because I could find lock, later.
Yeah.
And then like this one flan then ends up generating a ton of CP and then making them discard at the end.
And also in your that mono ice deck, everything is 8k or higher.
Yes,
Well,
like my
Duke lag.
because of Duke lag, my smallest thing is 8k now.
And now you
when Duke lag's in play.
And now you've experienced the glory of Earth.
Where everything is big enough
An
to compete.
interesting large forward deck.
Yes.
So as a result, the mono fire matchup has become really favourite.
That's
for
because
me,
Greg and I having to put in.
because of Ghoul, which we've talked about in the past as well. So the big forwards and the Ghoul. It's like I can actually attack with Genesis and not feel like I've had to set him up.
Yeah.
That's been sad when I.
And then the lock Genesis party is like, this is my answer to Guy now. Because
Oh, yeah.
they play Guy, it's like, well, you lose your Guy or you discard 2.
It's
That makes me so
terrifying.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I love these little like on-hit effects. I actually have some sort of influence in combat now. Yeah.
And also Celeste is just disgusting as well.
Celeste, yeah, she's actually 9k for 4 in ice. Always with the proviso that Jukulai is in play.
I think like now mono ice is a thing.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you have to agree with me, last Opus 3 it wasn't really
I
a
don't
thing.
think it was.
I think
Yeah.
anything can be a thing now. I think
There
we
are-
have enough cards that
There's such
you
card
think of
diversity.
something
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can do it.
So we're gonna
That-
do a mono dark deck.
Yes,
Mono dark
we are
deck
going
next
to
up.
do a
No.
mono dark.
Actually, I really hope they print more cards like Shadow, so we can make a fire dark deck.
Yeah.
The
To-
Celeste-
to
Let's
ride on
go.
the
Let's
water
do
line.
it.
The
Yeah.
Celis S as well is so amazing. And
But you can only use it if they cast a summon. So if
Yeah.
they're like, if you need a blocker, you can't rely on that.
I don't think that's why
you
use
can't.
it.
yeah, I wasn't saying in that context. But it means you can feel so
Yeah.
safe. I can play like the Emperor and Celis and just be like,
Yeah.
just like the Emperor and
Yeah.
Dissidia.
It's really interesting how like Emperor takes the place of Terra.
Well,
Yeah, and that's
It doesn't have the as a prefix.
My favorite
Yeah.
play. My favorite play in the deck
Yeah.
is when you Terra S something, like you play Terra and S.
Yeah.
It's not because it's particularly amazing, although if it works out it is. It's
Yeah.
because it's so butt clenchy. You're like, come on, Terra,
Let's
survive.
do it. Let's do it.
Survive. Like, if
It's
they-
like
if they-
it's like you're betting on the horse.
yeah, like
let's
if,
go.
if
Let's
they
go.
kill the Terra or remove it, or like if the Terra's gone and the
Daddy
S
needs a new
fizzles,
pair of shoes.
Like it's such an investment. You're like, oh, come on, get there.
Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much your deck list. We're running out of time, so we'll cut it off there. But you refined that deck list pretty well, so there isn't much changes you would do here and there. That's more or less.
It's
There-
starting to solidify now.
Yeah, there's some flex cards, but it's pretty much there.
Yeah.
The other flex cards for the meta, depending on the meta.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about our meta decks maybe next time.
Next time, we'll
I need to stress test it more against like that goal business.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
pressed that at all. Stuff like that.
You can talk about the meta decks without actually discussing the meta because you want to hold off.
Oh no, it doesn't really matter right now. It's on with Opus 5.
It doesn't really
matter.
Oh, also no magical.
It's nothing really matters.
Anyways, the next podcast is going to be our finale for season 1. Did you guys
I was
know
gonna
that?
go woo, and I thought, but that's a finale.
It's a finale for season 1.
And
And
Yeah.
then after that, it'll be season 2.
Woo!
Where we'll be like, new changes.
New
I promise.
changes.
Ah.
yes.
It's weird. We took our break sort of just before we finished
Yeah.
season 1.
Yeah, I
So
know.
there won't really be a break, I don't imagine, between.
No, there
1
won't
and
be.
2.
There'll be
I
a
think so.
2-week break.
the same amount of time.
Yeah.
But thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to MogPod Gaming. I've also got a Facebook page now. Subscribe to that. We're doing Meme Mondays, and I'm posting some other things on there as well.
Wombo combo Wednesdays.
MogPod Combo Wednesdays. That's good. Okay, I might do that. Why'd you tell me that before, George?
Come on, George.
Where were you on Wednesday?
You have to give me the first Wombo Combo.
Fail Fridays.
Which is what this is.
Yeah.
We are-
It's fine.
This episode goes out
Oh,
on
yeah,
Tuesday.
but
so-
Also, from now on, I will. If you like the Facebook page, I'll put the link of the podcast earlier on the Facebook page. Then I'll upload the video. That'll just be the audio on there. So that's another little extra to like our page.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, without further ado, number one potato boss out.